Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. We get closer and closer to a football weekend. Some interesting games on the national landscape. Utah's got a trip to Laramie to take on the Cowboys of Wyoming. Wyoming 2-0 so far on the season. They're a stingy defense. They have not played anyone near Utah's caliber as of yet, but they've done what they were supposed to do. We'll talk plenty about the Cowboys. We'll talk about the matchup. Shahan Jayaraja is going to join us on the show today. Audition with Devin Dampier, his weekly conversation. We had to shuffle things around a little bit. Instead of being at noon, which I know you've come to expect, we try to make that appointment viewing, appointment listening for you. This is it's something we have to do. It'll be Eric Weddle at noon, and then it'll be Dev at 1. So a great show lined up on a Thursday. And it feels wrong to jump on the radio and try to keep you entertained and distracted for the next 3 hours without acknowledging that as we were signing off yesterday, we were just learning about something absolutely appalling, horrific, terrible happening down at UVU, which is a university that plenty of the people here in our building and in our community have close associations with. People here on our own sibling station are UVU grads. My brother-in-law is a student at Utah Valley University right now and was present at the event. Thankfully, he and, as far as we know, all the students are safe. Unfortunately, a murder happened in our home state of a high-profile individual, and the reactions, the news, it's being politicized because everything gets politicized. The only thing I feel a need to say about it on a day like today, which is, of course, also the 24th anniversary of 9/11, which put a lot of things into perspective for us and made us think about the way that we do things and changed our lives forever. The thing that I really want to say is I hope we can get to a place where humanity is more important to us than politics, than ideological disagreements, than religious disagreements. If you agree with me or you don't, I want you to make it home to your family every night. I want you to have an opportunity to chase the American dream and to make a better life for yourself and for your kids and for anyone associated with you. Whether I like the way you think or what you believe or not, I want you to be home safe every chance you get, every night. I want you to lay down in a hotel or in your bed and wake up knowing that today's going to be another day where I can chase the thing that's important to me, where I can commune with my Creator, with God in the way that I see fit, where I can treat my neighbors the way they deserve to be treated, where I can love the people that I love. And if I have to, I can try to make my points and I can disagree with the people I disagree with in a way that is constructive for myself and for them. And we have to be there. That is America. We have to get to that place. I don't care what your politics are. Don't text them to me. Don't tweet them at me. I don't care. If you agree with the man or you disagree with the man, I just want all of us to treat one another with respect, with dignity, and with a value for human life, because it is sacred that we get to wake up and we get to chase our dreams in the United States of America. And it is not something that happens for everyone. And by the luck of the draw for most of us, that's how we're here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm not going to stay on my soapbox all day. It's important for me. It felt important for me today to say to all of you listening, you probably have different opinions and beliefs than me. That's fine. Thank you for listening. Let's be part of a sports discourse at least together. And if you ever wanted to have a more serious conversation about God, about your beliefs, about immigration, about gender ideology, whatever, I would engage in a respectful manner. And when it was all over, no matter how mad we got at each other, I would want you to make it home safely to your family. That should be the bare minimum for all of us. And clearly we've gotten to a point where it is not. Let's get back to that if we can. All right. Sports are what we're here to talk about today. On this show, every day, it's entertainment. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do our best. You will probably cry a few tears today because if you tune in even to sports, you're going to see the memorial to the guy in the red bandana. You're going to hear the phone calls. You turn on a country station today, you're going to hear the voice messages left from people in the two towers and on the airplane going down in Pennsylvania, and it's going to stir up the old memories for you. And I've told the story on air many, many times, and I'll tell it again today. I was a senior in high school who had just turned 18 years old, and I walked in to school, and my friend Charlie Jukes, who was a wide receiver on the football team, defensive back on the football team with us, our first class was the football class. It was called powerlifting. The football team was in a lifting class, and he said, "Hey, there's been an attack." And then we walked into class, and on the old box television hanging on that weird little stand in the corner, we watched it all unfold for the next hours and days. I'll never forget it. I won't forget the smell of the room, the rubber mats, the weird chalky kind of staleness in the air, because that's how it was in an old weight room, and being there with my friends. And I remember that my station in life, right, as someone who is legally an adult now, who I'm old for my grade, so I turned 18 like on the first day of school, and I remember thinking like, what's this going to be? And of course, immediately conversation went to retaliation and counterattacks and all that stuff. And my dad, who was just on the young side, just missed the Vietnam era because he was young, was terrified that his two sons, my older brother and I, were going to get drafted. And my dad changed the rules for me in our house after that, because I think it forced him to realize that I was kind of an adult. Because if the government was going to see me as an adult, he might need to as well. So I don't know. It was just a very strange time. And I know that there are a lot of sports memories associated with it, many of them positive, many of them negative and tough to deal with. High school football that week in Utah canceled all the games, and we played the other games on I think it was a Monday night or a Tuesday night, the makeup game. So you had a Monday game, then a Friday game that week. It was wild. Anyway, hopefully, as you remember where you were and what this day means to you, it's all, appreciation for the great country we live in and the freedoms and the opportunities that we have, and that we exercise those freedoms and we chase those opportunities in a manner that does not hurt anyone else. Off the soapbox now, let's talk some football. Shahan Jayaraj is going to join us in about 15 minutes. Looking forward to that conversation. College football insider who has always some interesting thoughts on a Utah football team that we are still figuring out. And I asked this question yesterday, and we never really got to flesh it out. And it's something that we've kind of speculated on as we draw closer to what we think is the end of Kyle Whittingham's head coaching career. And I've been on record to say I think that this is it if you have a good season, and it looks in the first couple of games like you're about to have a pretty good season. So I'm not, stamping it in ink yet, but I'm saying like, it feels like maybe this is the final ride, or the penultimate at the very least. And even as we go through this season, and that's kind of like a background story, there are other guys that are in the same position of tenure or even longer tenure than Kyle Whittingham that are having some real struggles right now. And I wonder how much our perception of Coach Witt is influenced or colored by the idea that we know that it's coming to an end sooner than later. Mike Gundy is younger than Kyle Whittingham. He's been in the job just as long as Kyle Whittingham. They got hired the same offseason cycle. Kirk Ferentz is older and has been in his job longer. And those two guys, it's those three at the top, the longest tenured coaches in all of college football. And those two guys right now, Kirk Ferentz, it's like every single year at the beginning of the year, things look really bad for Iowa, especially offensively. And people start the Twitter account, the Fire Kirk Ferentz account. They start the conversation among their own fan base like, hey, what are we doing? Let's get rid of this guy. Let's start chasing this guy out. And then Iowa invariably finds a way to squeak out a minimum of 8 games. And everyone's just like, well, you can't really fire a guy for 8 games, especially someone who's been here for 27 years. All right, let's see what kind of staff changes he makes next year. Well, and now the transfer portal, there's an Iowa effect, though. And Utah, I think fairly sometimes, but mostly unfairly, Utah fans, we've come to this sort of consensus that like, oh, well, Kyle Whittingham, he suppresses offensive creativity in a way that is damaging to this team. And Coach Witt has come on the air with us, and he has said, ask any of my guys if that's true. And we've asked some of his guys, and they've said, well, no, that's not true. He lets me do what I want to do. He lets me do what I'm supposed to do. And maybe there are in-game scenarios that belong to the head coach where it's like, we're not going to go for it here. We're going to punt him and pin. We're going to do that. Like maybe you can get into that level of manipulation if you really want to split hairs. But I'm just going to have to go by what we know or what we are told. Kirk Ferentz, though, he cannot fight any of the allegations because right now, and there's plenty of games left to play. There's plenty of football left to play at Iowa. He solved, quote unquote, solved the problem of getting rid of his own son, who probably didn't deserve the offensive play calling duties, but benefited from the nepotism. And then Kirk removed him, hires a replacement, brings in an incredibly prolific offensive player from the FCS. This Mark Gronowski kid, Gron, we're not going to call him Gronk. We're going to call him Gron. Brings in a man of distinguished accomplishment offensively, a 10,000-yard producer at the FCS level. Brings him in to play quarterback. And when you plug that dynamic player into an Iowa offense that is somehow called by a completely different mind and still looks the same, Kirk Ferentz, he ain't beaten any of the allegations. It is a place where just quarterbacking goes to die. And that's a wild, wild thing. And now he's got to fight the perception that the game has passed him by, that even when he brought what people thought would be a promising player in the transfer portal, and it's not the only one, but the quarterback's the most important one, now people are like, well, and you've ruined that. You ruined that kid. You've not only made it bad for Iowa, but you've ruined it for him because this is his last year of eligibility. And right now, literally, right now, you can go and if you want to, you can donate to a GoFundMe to pay Mike Gundy's buyout at Oklahoma State. That's how bad people want to get rid of him right now at Oklahoma State. And those things are mostly performative and theatrical. But there are people who've actually put money into the account. And you could if you want. I don't think it serves Utah in any way. And you probably have better things to do with your money. But these are the guys that are kind of on Coach Witt's experience tier. We do it. We don't rank coaches 1 through 100 anymore. We do put them in tiers. Who are the guys who are the best? Who are the guys who've been there the longest? Those 3 are the top. That's them. That's it. That's the 20-plus year club in college football. And the other 2 guys are their fan bases coming at them with torches and pitchforks. There have been times in Kyle Whittingham's tenure where we've gotten close to that unfairly. There were times in Kalani Sitake's much shorter tenure at BYU where that's started to happen. It's always pretty much unfair when it happens to coaches, or not quite justified is a better way to say it when it happens to coaches. But the reason I brought it up on the show and then we never really got to explore it too much, is because it's such a unique thing that we're heading into week 3 against Wyoming, an old conference foe that Kyle Whittingham, by the way, has beaten the crap out of in most cases. I guess maybe because of revenge from his days as a player at BYU, where he didn't have quite as much luck against the Cowboys. And we're heading into season 21, where after plenty of questioning and an off-season cycle where some Utah fans were kind of like standing on the edge of the boat to jump off or starting to lean the bandwagon over to where it might tip, where now the waters have calmed, where the bandwagon has been put back on all 4 wheels, and everyone's just like, yeah, that's Coach Witt. That's our guy. That's not Mike Gundy's world right now. That's not Kirk Ferentz's world right now. There is a sincere thought from a lot of people in college football and in those communities especially that are like, you can't do it for this long. You cannot have been that guy for 27 years at Iowa, that guy at Oklahoma State for 21 years, and it's passed you by. You're not able to do it anymore. I was ready to stick a fork in Dabo, who's what, like 16 years on the job?
Yeah, he's the next. I looked it up because I was like, we always hear about those 3 names as the longest tenured coaches in FBS. But we never hear after that. And I'm like, what's the gap there? Dabo is the next longest active coach. And he's at 16. So it's not as big a gap as you might think based on how no one talks about Dabo being one of the longest tenured coaches, the 4th longest tenured coach in FBS.
And with respect and great respect to Gundy, Ferentz, and Whittingham, Dabo's 16 years have a couple of championships.
Right.
They're different 16 years.
And it was 5 straight. They made the college football playoff. They didn't make it the first year of the college football playoff, but then they made it the next 5 years, and then there's a gap, and they made it again last year. So they might be the team that's made the playoff the most times, or they're right there with near the top in that. So he's not only won championships, but he's put his team in positions to win not just conference championships, but national championships every year basically since 2015, with the exception of like 2 or 3.
He's had multiple top 5 draft picks. He's had a top overall draft pick. He's had Heisman Trophy finalists. He is, and the reason I bring these points up, it's not the Dabo praise hour. I'm telling you.
Feels like another level he's at.
So 16 years of remarkable success, and still there was a time where there was a small groundswell, but a groundswell of conversation about it might be time for Dabo to move on. And when he was outwardly saying, I'm not going to do the transfer portal thing, I'm not going to do the NIL thing, when he was verbally against the changes in college football that were going to make everyone else relevant if they could pay for it on a level that Clemson already is, and he was fighting against it, I was like, what are you doing, man? Can you imagine being the head coach of a team that is a national power and the only real national power in your conference, which is a really special place to be when the SEC's got 3 at least national powers. The Big Ten's got 3 at least national powers. You can make an argument for 5 at least in both of those conferences. And in the ACC, Dabo really, truly, Florida State has had its moment in the sun in the last couple of decades, but they're not a national power on the same level as Clemson. North Carolina's never going to get there. Miami was there at a time before Dabo and haven't been back since. He was in the catbird seat in so many ways in that position, and he was the guy who said, I'm going to do it like this instead. You guys are all wrong. There's 131 other coaches that were just like, we're going to go with the new system. We're going to pay the guys. We're happy that the players are getting money. And Dabo was the only dude of any import who was out there saying just like, that's crap. I don't want to do it. I was like, oh, that's wonderful. You are going to torpedo Clemson football to the benefit of everyone else. And somehow he hasn't.
Yeah. I mean, Cade Klubnik his first couple years as a starter looked like I would not a bust by any means, but he did not look like the guy that he was advertised to be. And then last year he had an incredible year. This year it's been a slow start for him, but because of last year he was getting a lot of preseason Heisman hype. I mean, that was his kind of shaky start to his career at Clemson was another big part of why they had 2 or 3 years of a lull there. But they were still in the conversation for an ACC title all of those years. They just weren't in the conversation of a national title, so it felt like a down year, which is like basically what I'm trying to say is he hasn't had a true down year at Clemson in 16 years. Even the ones that we thought Clemson's dead because they can't adapt. They were in ACC title games, winning the ACC still. Just they didn't have the automatic bid for the playoff like we do now, so he didn't make the playoff. So it's he's had a remarkable run, especially in that context where in that brief lull, it was like, okay, I guess Clemson's not going to be contending for national championships again. I don't think they're back to contending for national championships, but they're certainly back. That making the playoff last year puts them back in a national relevancy.
You almost can't fire somebody. You can't, as a fan, with any sort of reason in your head or heart, you can't say it's time to move on. And the reason we just spent 5 minutes on Dabo is because even with all of his accomplishment, there was a time where Clemson was kind of starting that conversation. We haven't really had, not in any sort of significant way, we haven't really had that moment with Kyle Whittingham. And he's the only dude who's been in his spot for as long as he has, or even remotely close to as long as he has, that hasn't had that moment for real. Like, for real.
I think the closest was probably last season. Not from the university, not from the administrative level.
From a fan perspective,
but from fan perspective, that was probably the closest it was. But you need, like, for the administration to, at a school athletic department, to listen to that, to feel the same way after this long of a tenure, you need a couple of years of that at least, where it's like, okay, you need a couple of years of evidence that's like, okay, maybe it's best to try to move on from this guy. And so far with the way this new offense has been, and they haven't really played anybody, but the way this new offense looks and projects to be against really good teams, I think that's still going to be delayed until he wants to retire, which is the way it should be after this long.
Look, the answer that you get of, like, the how and the why, right, is, well, I love football. It can't be only that. As much as I wish that was enough, I wish that was adequate, as a how and a why to keep that job. It's just not, right? Kyle Whittingham, when it's all said and done, is going to have multiple championships. He's going to have the Ring of Honor place. He's going to have the statue. He's going to have whatever he wants, whatever he allows. But, and look, the same is probably going to be true after it all comes out for Mike Gundy and for Kirk Ferentz. But right now, it is a unique position where you've got a 20-plus year head coach that, in a lot of ways, you're still in love with. Those other fan bases are not. Iowa wants Ferentz out on some level, and even more so for Oklahoma State and Gundy. They gave him the pay cut last year, and now the fans have started the GoFundMe campaign to pay his buyout. It's just it's a crazy time in college football. All right, our friends from Culligan Water, Salt Lake City, are going to be here in studio with us today. A little reverse remote, as we call them in the business. And you've heard, by the way, thank you, Culligan, Salt Lake City, for helping us out with the Devin Dampier interview. Dishing with Dev is brought to you by Culligan Water, Salt Lake City. Guys, welcome to the studio. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. We ran into each other at the tailgate on Saturday.
Yes.
before the game. I'll just ask you a football question first. Did it play out the way you thought it was going to?
Absolutely. It was exciting. I'll tell you what, that bird Ficklin,
Yeah.
that was fun to see.
A little QB2 action.
Yeah, I was
fun.
excited to see what the twos could do. I was hoping we could get to the twos quick and see some of these younger guys. And hey, it looked good.
Hey, I
exciting.
tell you what, I mean, if I'm projecting out, Culligan Water Salt Lake City might be sponsoring the Bird Ficklin interview at some point if he keeps playing that well.
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 years. Let's not get ahead of ourselves with Devin here. Yeah.
No, not anytime soon. We don't want that to happen anytime soon. Let's talk about, we all remember the old Hey Culligan Man commercials, right?
Yeah.
And I think most people, when we think of Culligan, we think of this water cooler we have in our Broadway studio. And it's not only that is a great service, but you guys provide so much more. Tell our listeners about really what Culligan can do for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So Culligan, we've been around for over 80 years. So we're almost a 90-year-old company. We're a third-generation, locally family-owned business, and we provide water solutions for Utah. So that's everything from the bottled water solutions that you have here in studio. We also have whole home solutions. So we've specialized in water softener and whole home filtration. That's how Culligan built their name. We created the world's first water softener back in 1936. And people forget that we really pioneered this industry. We are the industry leaders in water filtration technologies. We filter more water than any other company on the planet today. And we have a great offer for all your listeners that Kent will go over in just a little bit. But we just want to reintroduce ourselves because people remember that Hey Culligan Man tagline, and we haven't had that in years. And so we're just trying to reintroduce ourselves to Utahns and let them know we're still here.
So, Ken, what's the offer for our listeners?
Yeah, so Colson talked about this whole home system. This is a system that is in 3 parts. It'll filter out all of the water entering your home, clear out all of the chlorine through a carbon filter. It'll give you soft water with the most efficient water softener on the market and a reverse osmosis, so you got clean, purified drinking water. We've been running ads, $1,000 off, but on the show today, we'll give Sean's listeners $1,500 off. But you got to call during the show today.
All right.
Give us a call. We can give you $1,500 off. 801-509-9602.
801-509-9602. A call to action, ladies and gentlemen. Save yourself an extra $500 by calling during the Sean O'Connell Show. Let's be honest. This is when the lull in your workday is happening, all right? You're listening to my show. You're headed out to lunch. It's a perfect time for you to get on the phone, 801-509-9602. Get the free water consultation. Lock in the discount for a whole home system from Culligan, CulliganSLC.com. You could also get a hold of them there. We're up against the break. I have a lot more questions, but the good news is you guys are going to be here all show long, right?
Yep.
So we'll talk about the benefits for purifying your drinking water. We'll talk about the soft water, how it keeps those appliances and those fixtures in your home looking and performing better for the life of your home. We'll get to all of it with our friends at Culligan Water, Salt Lake City. But right now, get on the phone, 801-509-9602. Up next, Shahan Jayaraja, college football insider, joins us. We'll talk about Utah, Wyoming, but the other big games of the weekend, and, of course, what's coming a week from Saturday with Texas Tech, Utah, and the Big Noon Kickoff. Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, proud part of Utah's ESPN Radio Network. Piano Man, Billy Joel, one of the most popular karaoke songs of all time. Something tells me our next guest, Shahan Jayaraja, can really kill it on a karaoke mic. We've never talked about that before. I have no reason to say something like that, but he strikes me as that kind of guy. Shahan Jayaraja joins us now. Talk a little college football on the Sean O'Connell Show. Am I right or wrong, Shahan? Is that your vibe? Are you a blast at a karaoke party?
I'm gonna no comment that one, but I'll tell you that that my wife definitely will tell you that I'm not quiet when it comes to singing around the house.
Okay, so even if it's just in-house karaoke, good enough for me.
Oh yeah,
All right.
definitely.
Have you been shocked or surprised by really anything so far in the college football world through 2 real weeks of play?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been already a pretty, I don't know if you want to say tumultuous couple of weeks, but it's like, I think it's crazy the number of teams that have already kind of fallen down so far. Obviously, Alabama is the headliner after what's happened to them the first couple of weeks of the year. That's just not necessarily something that I expected early on in the season. They were a team that I very much had in my college football playoff coming into the year, and they just don't look ready to go at this point. I think that over in Big 12 country, Kansas State, similar story. This is a team that I definitely had in my top 4 in the Big 12 standings coming into the year, but they look like they very well might be the Oklahoma State of 2025 with some of the issues that they've had in the trenches and some of the problems that they've had in run defense. So a little bit of a surprise there, but other than that, I mean, so much exciting stuff happening to this point. A couple of resurgent quarterbacks that I've been really impressed by. Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, obviously Devin Dampier at Utah being a guy that I expected, and some of the other names like Bo Prabula even at Missouri being one who I'm really keeping an eye on. So exciting start to the season so far, and definitely I think countered some of what our expectations were.
Is Arizona State among those teams that have fallen off in your mind? I mean, it's not devastating panic button level at this point, but they're not where I thought they would be, at least through the first 2 games. Do you put them in that category? Maybe not in Alabama's neighborhood, but somewhere near.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been a disappointment so far is what you say at minimum. And the biggest thing that I'd say that's been disappointing about them is their passing game. Like, you look at Sam Leavitt in that game, I think he finished with under 100 yards passing against a pretty inconsistent Mississippi State secondary. And, you know, I think only threw for 60 yards last year, but you kind of feel like, okay, well, that's just him early in the season trying to get his legs underneath him. Well, he's got a talented receiver group this year, right? Jordan Tyson, I've said all year, like he was my number 2 receiver in the country behind Jeremiah Smith coming into the year. And Leavitt has just been, to me, very disappointing to this point. They've actually run the ball fine. I think their defense overall has been okay other than that broken play. But, I mean, they really need more from Leavitt, who was, by many accounts, the consensus number 1 quarterback in the Big 12 coming into the year.
One of the other top quarterbacks in the league was supposed to be Avery Johnson at Kansas State, and you know, he has underperformed. Kansas State has underperformed. I think there's a conversation to be had about whose fault that is, because they're not letting him use his legs nearly as much as we've seen from him in the earlier parts of his career at Kansas State. Where do you stand on that? I understand wanting to keep a quarterback healthy and developing as much of a pocket passing presence as you possibly can, but when one of the best assets a guy has is his athleticism, you have to let him use it, in my mind.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, right? Because you kind of alluded to it. It's almost hard to say who to blame for that, because I know, you know, from talking to people around the program that Avery Johnson wanted to grow as a passer, believed he's improved as a passer, wants to be seen as an NFL quarterback. And so you wonder, first of all, how much of their game plan and how much of their approach to the season has been Avery wanting to grow that piece of his game. And by the way, they added a couple of receiver pieces to try to make his job a little easier. But I think probably the more damning thing about it is that with their top running back, Dylan Edwards, out, they have just not been a very effective team running the ball. And I think that a lot of that has to do with predictability. A lot of it's just been inside zone. A lot of it's been up the middle. And in Joe Jackson, their backup running back, they just haven't been as effective. They haven't been able to get outside. They haven't been able to stretch the field with the running game the same way. And that's something that Avery Johnson brings to the table. So I get the idea of wanting to develop him, of wanting him to be healthy for an entire season. But the reality is right now, I mean, if you start the year 1-2, which they did for the first time since 2009, you might not have time to try to develop some of those other pieces of his game.
As long as we're talking about quarterbacks, one of the fun headlines in the Big 12 Conference this week is that Colorado's expected to start QB3, Ryan Staub, after a high-profile quarterback battle with two hyper-talented guys that had huge recruiting rankings and all that kind of stuff. He plays well against Delaware, and post-game, I mean, Coach Prime effectively announced that he was going to start this week in the post-game last week. Is that the right move to move on already from two guys that are, 4 or 5-star athletes? I love what we saw from Staub. I'm the biggest underdog story fan out there, but is this the right way to handle a quarterback situation so early in the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because coming into the year, that situation was wide open. It was assumed to be between Caden Salter and Julian Lewis, who both were brought, by the way, to Big 12 Media Days. I think that this is kind of an indication of kind of how open they are at that position. They have not gotten consistent play from either of those players. I will say, the freshman Julian Lewis has really showed almost nothing to this point, which is fair. I mean, it's his first time ever playing college football. But for Caden Salter, too, it's been quite inconsistent throughout. And so I didn't mind throwing Ryan Staub out there. He came in and, I believe was 7 of 10 for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, that's not something you can ignore in live action. The game was, I want to say, 10-7 when he was inserted into the game, and they run away with it whenever Ryan Staub enters the game. And the irony about this is that, I think that Deion Sanders, I compared a lot to kind of having an NFL mindset to player management. And what I mean by that is they've often felt like when we have players struggle, need to bring in better players. Well, this is ironically an example of actually sometimes keeping a guy and letting him grow over the course of a couple of years is actually the way that you thrive in college football with 18 to 22-year-olds. And Ryan Staub committed to the program under Carl Durrell. He stayed with the program even after Deion Sanders gave his whole Louis speech and said, we're bringing in different guys. And he's managed to grow within the program and step up in a big way. So I think he's very much earned this opportunity, but we'll have to wait and see what he does with it.
Shahan Jayaraja, our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking all things Big 12 football right now. Shahan, much to the chagrin of some of my listeners on the home of the Utes, I like you, am high on this BYU football defense in particular. I saw you posted a number on your Twitter about how they're giving up like 0.29 yards per carry or something through 2 games, and the level of competition has not been stellar. I think they're legit, though, and we'll find out as the season progresses. But how long is it going to actually take us to find out if this defense is really, really, really good? Because it's East Carolina, that's a quality opponent. Colorado, especially in the run game, is not typically fantastic. West Virginia is next for BYU after that. They've lost Jaheim White. Then it's Arizona. They're down. It might be the rivalry game October 18th before we really know what BYU's defense is actually capable of. But where do you stand on the level of test that the BYU Cougars have faced and are facing?
Yeah, well, first of all, look, I don't care who you're playing against. If you're allowing 0.6 yards per carry, I couldn't allow 0.6 yards per carry against my 19-month-old. To do it against another college football
they're crafty,
team,
man. I've got one that age. They're fast.
Yeah. I know they're a little slippery. It's tough, but I don't care if you're doing it against another college football team. That is crazy, crazy stuff. And I've said all year, I think that Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasser has a case of being the best linebacker combo right now in college football with the way that they're able to cause so much disruption. But if you want to talk about units and being able to label them as elite, there really isn't a good opportunity to know that until that Utah game. Now, I think going against Arizona's passing offense, it's going to be a little interesting, but that's kind of like it. There's not a whole lot else to be excited about on the schedule. Now, that was always my point of optimism for BYU, especially with starting a true freshman quarterback, is that you kind of get to ease into it. But this team could be 6-0, and frankly, we might not know if they're good at all as yet, just because of the way that the schedule is lined up. So I've really got my eyes on that game, October 18th, in Provo. Just going to be a tremendous opportunity, huge game for both of these programs. And Utah definitely will be more proven by that point. Of course, they have Texas Tech, in 2 weeks. They play Arizona State before that game. But I think that this is also kind of the opportunity where we figure out, well, just how stress test can this Utah offensive line be as well. So that's going to be a marquee matchup. And I don't think that we're going to know for sure that BYU's defense is one of the best in the nation until that game.
So you just mentioned Utah and Texas Tech. That game, we as fans, we can look ahead to Texas Tech, Utah. Big noon kickoff. It's getting a spotlight time. It's going to have, all the fanfare around it. I'm assuming that both teams handle business this weekend, and they're both undefeated and ranked in the top 20, most likely. How do you see it kind of playing out this weekend in Wyoming for Utah and against Oregon State for Tech?
Yeah, frankly, I've got very little question about both those teams, and the reason that I have such little question is actually the same for both teams, and it's what they're doing right now in the trenches. Utah has the best offensive line, at least in the Big 12, probably a top 3 unit in college football. Texas Tech has the best defensive line in the Big 12 and probably a top 3 to 5 unit in all of college football, if you include kind of pass rush, David Bailey, all that sort of stuff. And I think that that's just going to give them both such a huge floor. And that's, again, when you talk about this matchup in 2 weeks, and I'm sure we'll get into it maybe even next week, but I mean, that's I think the coolest thing about it is that it is best on best. It's best offensive line in the conference versus best defensive line in the conference. And so, when you play teams like Wyoming, when you play teams like Oregon State, obviously, even when you play teams to the level of UCLA or Kent State or any of these teams, I think that when you have huge advantages in the trenches, that's where you're able to really pull away from teams. So very little concern for either of them this weekend. I think we're going to get a great one in 2 weeks.
Is Iowa State right now the most proven good team, maybe best team in this Big 12 conference?
Yeah, I think that just because of their resume to this point, you have to slot them. If I was doing a power rankings, I'd have to slot them at number 1. Obviously the results that we've seen from some of these other teams, like a Utah, like a BYU, like a Texas Tech, even if you want to throw TCU in there, like there are positive results that prove that they can hang as well. But I mean, the level of provenness, I guess you could say, with Iowa State right now is just above everybody else. I mean, they won on the road, I guess overseas in Dublin against Kansas State, and I think really handled themselves well there. And they also beat Iowa this past week, and by the way, beating them in Ames for the first time since 2012, a period of 6 matchups. So, that game ultimately was 16-13. But if you watch the flow of that game, I mean, Iowa State was clearly the better team and kind of just let Iowa back in it because of some miscues. So I think that Iowa State is definitely the most proven team. I think that if there was a power ranking, I'd have them number 1 right now. And it's really, really impressive with some of the guys that they lost from their 11-win team last year, that they've managed to reestablish themselves as one of the best in the country.
I'm going to save the bulk of our Utah-Texas Tech conversation for game week of Utah-Texas Tech. So with that in mind, the games this weekend, Big 12 Conference and otherwise, that have the bulk of your attention, because I know you watch a lot of them, but you can't watch them all.
Oh, well, I try my best, man. I try my best. No, but I think that it's going to be a huge opportunity this week for both Kansas State and Arizona. That's that Friday game. It's going to be a season-defining game, I think, in so many ways, just because of the way that Kansas State has started the year and what Arizona hopes to accomplish. Going to keep an eye on the backyard brawl. I will say that looked a little better before West Virginia went and lost to Ohio and Jaheim White went out for the year. So a little bit more concerned about that one. And I think that also, Arizona State, I'm looking for them to have a bounce back spot in a big game against Texas State. Obviously, Texas State they beat UTSA last week. They're one of those teams that wants to contend for the conference title and for that New Year's Six spot from the group of five. Well, Arizona State had some trouble with them last year and needed to pull away at the end. I need to see Arizona State put that Mississippi State game behind them and go out and have a chance to win.
Shehan, it's always a great pleasure catching up with you, sir. I appreciate your time on the show today and look forward to our conversation where we will dive in a little bit deeper to Utah, Texas Tech next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Shehan Jayaraja, national college football writer and insider at CBS Sports. And apparently he could not confirm or deny his karaoke predilections, although he says his wife doesn't like how loud he sings in the house. So take that as you will. Hot lunch is coming up next. A literal hot lunch. Big Willie's has delivered the food, and once again, it is excellent. I'll tell you all about that when we return on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM, proud part of Utah's ESPN radio network. Hot lunch here on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM. The hot lunch today is a massive breakfast burrito. I told you, they must have been listening at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. I told you I feel it's important that we take the eggs out of breakfast. Keep them in breakfast, but also take the eggs out of breakfast. Put them in your lunch. Put them in your dinner time situations. The breakfast burrito at Big Willie's, the lunch special, the hot lunch special today, absolutely phenomenal. Enchilada style, cheese and sauce on top, sausage, hash brown, scrambled egg, little pico on the side, salsa, sour cream. It's so big that I gave James Peterson half. I am typically a very greedy person when it comes to the culinary sharing, but no, not today. Hot lunch brought to you by our friends at Big Willie's at 1717 South Main. Stop by, tell them OC sent you. They're going to hook you up. Grab a cold beverage, watch some sports, and make plans on Saturday to watch the Utah versus Wyoming game. If you're not going to Laramie, go to Big Willie's to watch it. All right, I told you earlier in the show that our friends from Culligan Water, Salt Lake City, are going to be joining us all day here at our Broadway studios. Kent and Colson back in studio with us here, telling you more about what Culligan offers. Can we talk about the drinking water situation?
Let's do it.
So you have plenty of options, right? We talked about the whole home filtration. You've got the water coolers. There's one right behind me here if you're watching us on YouTube. I was not even aware that it's something I really needed to pay attention to for myself, much less for my children, because, we live in the United States of America. It's clean water. And then you start going down these rabbit holes.
And there are rabbit holes.
And you realize how much crap can wind up in our drinking water.
Yeah.
Culligan's a solution.
Yeah, and your body's not made to filter out some of those toxins and pollutants, right? I mean, that's the big thing. Culligan products are. There's a reason that we've been in business for over 80 years. There's a reason that we're the number one provider of water filtration solutions in America. It's because our technology works, and we remove the stuff that isn't good, right? So through that reverse osmosis system that Kent was talking about, we can create purified water that you're going to love to drink. It tastes delicious, and you're going to remove all those impurities that can cause, really nasty side effects, right? There are things in your water that can cause cancer, right? There's lead in your water. There can be all these different things and pollutants, and Culligan systems will remove all of that and leave you with high-quality H2O.
So what if I live in a tiny little apartment, and I don't have room to put a bunch of new stuff in? I don't have room for a cooler in the corner. What can you do for our listeners who are kind of in that phase of life right now?
Yeah, absolutely. You can put this reverse osmosis system under the sink. It
Nice.
doesn't take up too much space in there, and then it's got its own what's the word I'm looking for? Faucet that that provides the water on tap 24 hours a day. Really, really simple. The other thing is you can specialize this system as well. If you like alkaline water, if that's important to you, we can add that into the system. We can add mineral boost cartridges. Very, very cool technology.
So really, anything water related, you're capable of kind of doing what people need, because there are folks out there who have, like I said, they've gone down the rabbit hole already, and they're like, no, alkaline water is what I'm looking for. I need to get the. I'm a dad of 3 daughters. I just found out that they're like, the birth control medicine runoff stays in water even as it goes through the water treatment plant.
Yeah,
and so you got
pharmaceuticals and all that kind of stuff.
I'm like, what? What is this?
Yeah. So it all starts with a free water test. So call us, right? It all starts, let us get a baseline for what's going on with your water. It all starts there. And then we can customize solutions based on what your preferences are and what we find. I mean, that's the difference between Culligan and some of these other fly-by-night places, is that we actually know what's in your water. We care about what's in your water. And then we have solutions to treat specific water problems that are unique across the valley. So your water isn't the same as my water, right? Even though we may live a mile or two apart.
Sure.
Right? And it's because of the distribution lines. It's because of the way that the municipalities treat the water. So let us come out, no obligation, free water test. Let us educate you about what's in your water, and then we can have a real honest conversation.
The number is 801-509-9602, CulliganSLC.com. They're running a discount right now, $1,500 off if you call during the show, 801-509-9602 for the whole home water system. You got to take advantage of that before the end of the show. So you've got a couple more hours, but we want to make sure that you maximize your savings. 801-509-9602. Kent and Colson are going to be here with us for the rest of the show today. CulliganSLC.com. And, of course, we've got Dishing with Dev on the show. It'll be at 1 o'clock today. That is brought to you in part by Culligan Water SLC. The reason we moved it to 1 o'clock today is because we got Eric Weddle joining us next, one of the all-time Utah greats, our friend on the show, in about 3 minutes. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, the ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Welcome to hour number 2 on the Sean O'Connell Show. Look, you got to be elite company in order to bump Dishing with Dev. If we're gonna move QB1's conversation to later in the show, you got to be a Utah football legend. Good thing Eric Weddle checks all those boxes. Longtime NFL veteran, one of the all-time great Utah Utes, head coach of the Rancho Bernardo Broncos, who are 3-0, baby. He joins us on the show right now. E-Dub, how are you?
3-0. 3-0.
Torrey Pines who? Torrey Pines who? 2 decades of dominance by Torrey Pines, broken by the Weddle and Weddle combination.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great team effort, and man, I was just really proud. We were down 10 to 3 at half, and we answered with a 2-minute drill to get down in field goal range, and gave us some confidence. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot in the first half, but I challenged the kids to go win it, and we went to scoring drive, 70 yards plus, and our defense got stop after stop. And then our third possession was a best play in football with QB Neal for the victory. So couldn't be more proud of them by their response, by their staying connected, staying together, and keep believing, and to end a long drought of losses. So we're welcoming the bye at this point.
That's awesome. By the way, I looked up, Max Preps. Shout out to Max Preps for making sure that we get information on high school football games, even in San Diego, California. Both teams ran 56 total plays, both teams with 13 first downs. You had the slight edge in time of possession. That's a tight game. That's as close as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2 good teams. If I'm being honest, Torrey's not as dominant, if I could say, in the last few years. So it was a much tighter battle, and we got the dub. Doesn't take away our win, but I'm also a realist and understand that we're a good team, but they came back a little bit to us, and that had a hand in it as well.
So what's the bye week look like? How do you, as a coach, handle bye weeks?
You got to win the bye. That this is an opportunity to have fun, to invigorate, to get in the weight room an extra time. Look at the film as the coaching staff, see if there's any improvements, any different direction that we want to go. Offense, defense, special teams. There's obviously areas that we need to focus on during practice. So we practiced Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll get in the weight room again today. We met every day, and then Friday I'll just have study hall for them and let them enjoy the weekend. But I try to do practice differently than what they're used to, with different drills, having fun competitions. I even had the JV do teamwork against the varsity because they like doing that and get on the field together. So it's been fun. We got work in, but also keeping the energy high and keep it lighthearted so the guys don't get burnt out.
I'm trying to decide if I would like to play for Coach Weddle. You seem like you have the right perspective, that you make it fun for the guys while also keeping them focused and letting them take it seriously. Because I think that there's in high school football, there's like a hard line to draw. Some coaches run it like a college program, run it like an NFL program where it's very businesslike, and not every kid's on that wavelength. And it seems like you've struck a nice balance, Dub.
Well, I'm trying. I think I'm learning to shoot every week. I'm changing things up or listening to coaches that have been coaching for decades at the high school level. And I think my first 2 years, it was very, very strict, and I wanted them to be so good and work so hard. And the reality is 90% of them aren't like that and aren't going to look at the installs. They're not going to watch film. They're not going to study. They're not going to give 100% in every drill. So I had to pull back the standard is never going to change in the sense that I'm trying to push these guys, but letting little things ruin my day like it did the first couple of years, I've definitely managed better. And honestly, Sean, I'm tired of guys quitting for reasons that aren't related to football. And I'm trying to meet all these kids halfway to keep them in the program because I know how beneficial it is in the long run of being a part of a football team that builds these kids up into men. We just did our first Men of Character that we do for all the male athletes Wednesday mornings once a month that we bring in speakers to teach them. It was on purpose and what that looks like in men in today's world. And I'm really proud of the things that we try to do for these kids. And I want them to stay in the program, so I'm trying to meet them halfway on that.
It's cool to hear that, and it actually kind of fits with the question I wanted to ask you because, right now, Mike Gundy, who's been in college football just as long as Kyle Whittingham as a head coach, and Kirk Ferentz, who's been there at Iowa even longer. I mean, those three are the top of the top of the top in terms of time at a school and time at a head coaching position, and the other two are having a real hard year in 2025, and it's been a battle these last couple of years. And Kyle Whittingham looks like he's off to a really good start. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because we've seen Coach Witt, who's this old school guy, who's made some adjustments to the new era of college football and to transfer portals and to NIL and things like that. And he's pretty public about the fact that it's not his favorite thing to have to compromise on. But still he's found ways to compromise on it and maintain his status as an elite coach in college football for going on 21 years. You played for him. You know him as well as anyone does. How do you think Coach Witt has outlasted so many of his peers, especially at one school?
Well, I think as a coach, if you're not willing to learn, willing to change, willing to adapt, and stay ahead of the times or stay with it, then you're going to get left by. I mean, that is probably the most truest statement for a football coach or a coach in general, that you have to be willing to change and you have to be willing to think outside the box and do different things and learn different things. And I think Coach Witt has done that over the course of 20 plus years of coaching that has enabled him to still stay as an elite coach, but also an elite mentor, a teacher, a father figure for a lot of these guys, and someone that really cares. I mean, you're in a position, an impactful position on these kids' lives that you have to take seriously, and you have to enjoy it. That has to become who you are as a coach and as a figure of giving back. So I think Coach Witt has done that and has welcomed it, even though at times it's been not as easy as it may seem. But he's in a great position. Our program's in a great position. The stability, the culture, the identity. Utah's a very special place in that sense. And when people get around it, they gravitate towards it, and really proud of the direction and what it's become since I was there.
All right, let's talk some more specifics here. Utah headed to Laramie, Wyoming for the road game, old conference foe. Your most memorable time playing against Wyoming, either at home or even better if it's on the road up there?
Shoot, I think it was 03 or 04, the lights went out.
Yeah. Morgan joined us yesterday, and he called it the Harry Potter game because they had to start playing Harry Potter on TV because the lights went out at Wyoming.
Oh, my gosh. So funny. I remember sitting, I don't even know where we were. I don't think it might have been the locker room, but we were just sitting because the lights went out, and we're just waiting for them to come back on. Are we going to play? Are we not going to play? That's what I remember most. I don't know if it was my senior year or junior year at Wyoming. I don't know. I could be wrong. We have to look this up. I think we may have lost. And it was just really not a very good moment. It had to have been my senior year. I don't remember, but maybe not. Maybe I beat them all 4 years. It's been a long time. but I had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, and it was weaving through, and I thought like that was going to help us win, and I don't think we won. So
31,
the lights out.
31-15, 2006. Wyoming beat Utah in Laramie.
Yeah, so that was really a high point in my senior year. my senior year goes like this: lose at the Rose Bowl, trying to get that game to UCLA, who basically said I was a nobody and couldn't play for them. Then go Wyoming, lose, and then BYU at the last game of the year lost. So that's what I remember for my senior year.
Why you got to be so negative? Why you only remember the losses?
Because in most cases, as a player, that's what you remember. You don't really remember a lot of the good things. You only remember the what ifs and what could have been.
Fair enough. This is a really good Utah football team. At least we think so, right? What we've seen, what's available to us, looks like a team that's balanced offensively and defensively. There were a couple missed assignments against Cal Poly. I know that your standard is incredibly high for defensive backfield play, so we'll start there. Speaking with Coach Witt and with Morgan Scalley, they explained it as guys just got sloppy, had bad eyes, took their eye off the man coverage, and were looking into the backfield trying to get greedy, and they lost their man because of it. Seems like something that's easily coached out, but you tell me if you saw anything that concerned you against Cal Poly and what ultimately was a dominant win.
No, I mean those things are going to happen, especially with a young secondary and guys getting experience. Each game is an opportunity to improve, to learn, to grow, and so like issues like that is much easier to correct than physical errors that you just can't do the job and you have nobody else, right? Like that's much more concerning in the long run. So I don't see it being an issue. It's just stressing, eyes on your luggage, right? What is my job? What is my responsibility? What is my key? You know, we went over this last week and was really proud of our safeties of not getting beat on play action, letting the tight end tell you what's going to happen off what he's doing, right? If he blocks out, then insert inside on an outside in fit on a tackle. If he releases his pass, if he blocks down, alert for counter coming back or something coming back to you, or boot. So go to the hip, shuffle, let that confirm after 2 steps. So it's those little details that you go through Indies, you watch it on film, and then you execute it on game day is really awesome to see as a coach, because when you're playing man-to-man, your eyes can be your best asset or your worst enemy.
We're seeing, I think, in the pass rush specifically for Utah, this John Henry Daly really rounding into becoming a great player. Again, it's all a wait and see at some point. But even when you watch the downs where he does not pressure the quarterback or he does not make the play, doesn't get home for a sack or whatever, his effort is there. The motor's incredibly high. He's playing, as far as I can tell, assignment sound on the backside when the play runs away from him and things like that. When you're, a leader in a defense, right? If you're like a Lander Barton, a Levani Damouni, and this guy in 2 games of real action is starting to show these things, what's the best way for you as a leader? What's the best way for you to help the coaching staff to make sure that guy continues on his growth? And as a teammate, how do you maximize what he ends up being?
Oh man, good question. I think the main thing is keeping them centered, keeping him humble and team focused, right? Keeping the routine, keeping the process, enjoying it, not all of a sudden, hey, you had a couple good weeks and people are started talking about you, that you stop watching film, you stop getting that extra work in, you stop asking questions. Like that's handling success, I think, for a young guy is really the thing that may, or usually is the holdup or has them stumble, because you don't know how to handle it. So I think as an older guy, you can be able to be that lending hand to him, to stay on him and get him right if you do see him swaying, and also pushing him to be even better than what he was or what he is.
We had Jordan Gross on. You guys didn't overlap, right? You and Jordan Gross were not on the same team.
We didn't.
He was like, before the All-American Weddle, he was the All-American Jordan Gross. And you guys played completely different positions, weren't actual teammates, but what kind, like you guys played against one another in the league and things like that. What kind of influence does a great player at Utah have on another great player, even if they weren't teammates?
Well, there's always that connection. We are alums. Then we get into the NFL, and it's a brotherhood in the NFL. Like you make it, and we went to the same school. So then we start communicating that way. Then you see each other in the off season at a spring game or spring ball, and then now we're both coaches, so we talk many times, helping each other out because we're both new to it and trying to help these kids. And what's he doing? What am I doing? What has worked? What hasn't? Recruiting. How do we help the kids even more? How do we help the program? So I just think the bond you have at a school that you stay at lasts a lifetime. And I think the schools that still promote that and preach that and dive into that, also wanting to win and also wanting great players, and you got to get in the transfer portal for depth and for immediate starters. But when you build with the understanding that you want to develop and build these guys for the long haul, it can reap rewards that'll last a lifetime. And that's what I love most about our school and the alums that have played there, that we are connected forever and will always be there.
You bring up an interesting point that I think there's going to be a separation, especially now, because it's becoming so much more normal for guys to have played for 2 or 3 different schools in their college football tenure. There's going to be everyone plays together and you always love your teammates and things like that. But there's going to be like a second category, or I guess it would be the first category, like the top level, where it's like we were there for 4 years. We were there for our whole careers, because it's not as common as it used to be. And it's in fact, I think by the time, the decade's out, it'll be uncommon for a guy to play all 4 years at one school, to not explore the transfer portal at all. So there's probably going to be a sort more of a badge of honor associated with being an Eric Weddle, a Lander Barton, a Spencer Fano, somebody that commits to the same school and rides it out at that same school. And it's also going to be a luxury for teams that can keep guys that long. You have to be doing things right in order to keep guys for that long.
Yeah, it's not. Listen, it's not ideal, and the times have changed. So what I'm talking about and what you just said is, it'll be the anomaly, okay? And there are many reasons why it doesn't work out, and it's not always the player wanting to leave, right? I just want to put that out there. A lot of times it's the staff pushing them out. A lot of the times it's mutual, and a lot of times it's a guy wants or been offered more money or more playing time or this and that, whatever the case may be. So I just want to put that out there. But on the flip side is you'll have the 4 or 5 year guys, and then you'll have the 2-year guys that came from another school and finished their career out and became the Devin Dampiers of the world and really made their mark, which is awesome. And then you'll have the others that were there 2, 3 years, 4 years, like a Bryson Barnes that ended up at Utah State, where I still think of him as a Ute and the job he did, and he moved on for reasons to play more. So it's ever changing. Hopefully the portal window that they're trying to do for a one-time 10-day window will be enacted, and it'll shore up a lot of this movement going on.
It sounds like that's going to be the plan in 2026. There's some coaches who don't love it because they expect to be in the college football playoff, but for everyone else, I think it's going to improve the whole situation. Talking NFL real quick before we let you go, we had a great Monday night game. We had a great Sunday night game. The result probably isn't what you wanted as a former Raven, but tell me your thoughts on a classic matchup, Allen versus Lamar, week 1. Starts the season off with a big bang on a Sunday night.
Man, there's a lot I could dive into with that game, and you should never lose a game up 15 with 7 or so minutes to go. And the way that game unfolded, there's many things that they could have done different, obviously. But as much as I love the Ravens, obviously, and I'm a diehard, the pivotal point in that game was the series before the touchdown drive that led down to the fourth down tip, back of the end zone catch, touchdown. The series before, Lamar missed 2 gimme throws that if he completes that 20-yard over route to Zay Flowers that he threw in the dirt with no pressure, and then the screen, if he just completes those balls, that's 2 minutes off the clock that the Bills never see, which therefore they never have a chance to even tie the game. So as much as Lamar is incredible, and they're nothing without him, let me make that clear. He has moments where his technique or fundamentals or whatever that case may be, that he has just these little mishaps that spiral the team. And it's not because of him, right? The fumble, all that other stuff. But it did spiral the team where if he just happened to make those completions, the game's over. And so it is concerning, Sean. I'm not gonna lie. The double-digit losses, yes, they're up a lot, but this can't keep happening. And I know Buffalo is a bad matchup for them. It is, call it what it is. But it just can never happen. Bottom line, it just can't ever happen.
So this is the monkey that Lamar's got to shake off his back in some ways. That he's obviously one of the most explosive players at any position, and because he plays quarterback, he is. I mean, when it's right with Lamar, when he's doing the stuff that nobody else can do, he is the guy. He's a superstar in the league. But that other stuff you're talking about, it's like, man, give me a dude who's just going to hit a double. I don't need the home runs right now. Just give me a guy who's going to keep the ball in the, keep the drive going. Is that something that you can coach into him, or maybe you have to coach it out of him, the jitter or whatever it is in those scenarios where he doesn't have to be superhuman. He just has to make the routine play. That's weirdly where he struggles sometimes in the playoffs, and he did in this game. How do you change that? How do you address that if you're a teammate, if you're a coach?
Oh, man. I mean, that's a great way to put it, doing the routine plays in the big moments. I mean, that's how the Patriots won all those Super Bowls and all those games, because they did the correct things. They did the little things right, and they basically banked on the opponent making the mistakes. And that's how they would win most games. Obviously, they had one of the best player ever, and that helps. But, yeah, I just think it's maybe reminding him the situation, reminding him that, hey, just routine plays, trust yourself, trust your instincts, but let's just get completions. And maybe call the game differently, right? Like, you get in these moments where you're up and so much, like, you don't need a score anymore. It's the time. It's quick game. It's, hey, let's QB run them, right? Get 3 to 5 yards on first down. So now it's 2nd and 5. Now we can run outside zone. We can run our power gap scheme. Now we can run screens. We can run quick game. Like, why are you doing a 5-step drop back and giving the chance of a missed throw when you don't need it? Like, you don't need a 20-yard chunk play, right, on that first down. And then the second one, the screen, I mean, there's nothing – I can't say anything for that one. But, it's just going through it, going over it, reminding them, and as much as is on his plate, he wants – I don't know. I look at myself being in that position. I wanted all the pressure on me. So if we lost, it's on me. If we win, it's my teammates. Like, I can handle that. I know he can handle it. So maybe it's just like, hey, the game's on you. This is what we're going to do. And then maybe he'll rise up in those moments moving forward.
Well, Dub, you're the man. I always appreciate picking your brain. Enjoy the bye week for your Rancho Bernardo Broncos. You're headed to Laramie, right?
I'm definitely not. I wish I would have listened. I would have been at any home game. If it was a home game, I would have been up there. Gage and I and the fam. We are going to come up, I think, the last home game of the year, which will be fun, and as a family, and then Gage will be able to experience that. So, but no, Chanel and I are actually heading out to Baltimore. They invited us out.
Oh yeah, you told me that last week. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ring of Honor guys, and then I just get to be a fly on the wall for, it's a lot. It's very similar to myself and the Ravens, right? Like, I was only there 3 years. I made an impact. It's a lot of like the guys that will be here 1 or 2 years and made a huge impact on the university, who will be a part of the university to the end of time. So it's very similar. I'm not like the guys that played 10 plus years there who were in the Ring of Honor, but also I gave it my all, and they look at me in a high regard. So I get invited out to these little things. So I appreciate it, and it's going to be fun.
Well, enjoy that, and we'll talk to you next week. Tell the wife hi.
You got it. Go Utes and Texas Tech. They got a lot of things coming. I hear a lot of people talking about Rice Eccles. I don't know who that guy is. I don't even know what he was on his little podcast that probably had 12 viewers. But the Rice Eccles is going to be rocking, and they're going to remind these Texas Tech Red Raiders that they got zero chance. The only chance they may have is a 10 a.m. kickoff. And that'll last till the first quarter.
Well, we'll have a lot of conversation about that a week from today, Dub. Thank you for your time.
Love you, babe.
Oh, that's Eric Weddle. That's our guy. Head coach of the Rancho Bernardo Broncos. How about that? They beat Torrey Pines. First time in about 20 years, Rancho Bernardo has taken out Torrey Pines. You got a trump card when Eric Weddle is your head coach, and Weddle's hung up so I can say this now. When Gage Weddle is your quarterback and your free safety, kid is an animal. Go watch the tape. Just do it. Like when you're bored on your lunch break, you're bored at work, you just want to, waste some company time, get paid to be doing something you're not supposed to be doing, just type in Gage Weddle highlights in YouTube. And you're going to see, you don't even have to know what number he is. You're just going to be like, oh, there's a guy that moves like Eric Weddle, but he's bigger than Eric Weddle. Wild. Anyway. All right, we've got the Dishing with Deb coming up in about half an hour. That's brought to you in part by our friends at Culligan Water, Salt Lake City. They're here in studio with us all day long, and we've been talking about the whole home water systems. We've been talking about the opportunities you have at 801-509-9602 to save an extra $500 off today. If you make the phone call, you get on the schedule for today, 801-509-9602 or CulliganSLC.com. We talked about the drinking water. For folks who weren't listening an hour ago, though, let's talk about the whole home water systems. Ken, I want to go to you first.
Yeah.
We always think of Culligan as it's a water cooler in the corner of the office, right?
Yeah.
It is that, but it's not just that.
Absolutely. We've got a lot of different lines of water treatment that we handle: commercial, industrial, high purity water, the drinking water. But lots of people know us as well for our residential line. And what we're here talking about today is that whole home water system. It's a 3-part system. So it'll filter all of the water coming into your home, remove all the chlorine through a carbon filter. It'll soften your water, and it'll give you a reverse osmosis system for your drinking water. It's an incredible system. It's like technology. We've got apps that we can track all of it. We know how much salt you've got in your system, how much water you're using. We've got automatic shutoffs. It's incredible.
I am a self-described miser. I am cheap, okay? I am always trying to cut every cost possible, and it drives my lovely wife nuts, right? Because she's like, we need a new water softener. I'm like, water doesn't even need to be soft. And she was like, do you realize how much soft water helps everything else in your house? Your faucets, your appliances, everything else. Of course, because I'm cheap, I'm like, oh, wait. There's always a secondary cost when you try to cut that corner. And so I'm hearing what you offer with these whole home water systems, and it's like, okay, so I have better drinking water. I now have soft water. So you're going to pay for the whole home water system, but you're going to save on the back end on all the other stuff where you don't have to buy separate drinking water because now the good stuff's coming out of your tap. And obviously your appliances are going to last longer and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of a Culligan water system pays for itself within the first year or two because you get 50% longer lifespan of all water-using appliances. That's your water heater, your dishwasher, your laundry machine, your showers. You don't have to spend the time with your lime away and this vinegar and all this stuff, right, to like try and etch all that corrosion off of your shower head. It takes care of all of it so that you can spend your Saturdays watching Eric Weddle and his kid and Utah football, right, and all the fun things that you'd rather be doing. And then to the cheap people out there, or to those that are more cost sensitive, we have a great deal today to save you $1,500 off an already affordable system. This deal, it's less than, if you finance it, it's less than $50 a month, right? I mean, it's affordable. Anybody can go out and afford these systems, and you can benefit from the better drinking water and protecting your home and some of the most valuable, investments you've made.
Look, maybe you think you've already got the soft water dialed in. You don't need the whole home water systems. Still give them a call, 801-509-9602, for the drinking water, for the bottled water and the coolers, for the office, for the bottle-less coolers. We'll talk about those a little bit later on in the show. CulliganSLC.com. More importantly, get on the schedule today for $1,500 off that whole home water system, 801-509-9602. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Daily Dump is coming next. Oh, boy. Larry Ballmer, Kawhi, are you sweating yet? Pablo just keeps dropping bombs. We'll give you the latest on the Clippers circumventing the cap. More evidence. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, proud part of Utah's ESPN Radio Network. Valley Plumbing and the Daily Dump. A couple of things come across my radar here. If this story with the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer and ownership keeps growing, we're just going to have to dedicate the Daily Dump to that every single day. There's a lot going on with this story. But before we get to that, I also want to remind you, Lamar Jackson, he got in a little bit of I won't say trouble, because the NFL has decided not to discipline him, which is the right call, because a fan reached over into the field or into the sideline area and he shoved Lamar's helmet and Deshaun Watson. No, not Deshaun Watson. Why is his name Hopkins? DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know why the name escaped me for a second. He shoved the helmets of both guys. And so Lamar forgot where he was for a second, forgot that he was wearing his starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens uniform for a second, and he shoved the fan, which is totally fine. Like, hey, don't touch us, we won't touch you. The NFL actually made the right decision and said, you know what, that was a bad moment, but that's all it was, so we're just going to leave it at that. No discipline there, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, that we heard the stories. Charles Barkley's told the story of, and we know that he spent nights in jail for physical altercations with fans, punching at least one fan, that kind of thing. This was not that. This was not like, obviously Malice in the Palace is like the one that we all point to as the worst athlete fan interactions, physical altercations probably ever, or at least the one that's been talked about that way. This was not anything close to that. He was responding to this fan's misbehavior. And yeah, like I heard Dan Patrick say, because Lamar, part of this story is Lamar did publicly apologize. He said I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry, but also you need to chill out, fan, which I think is totally fair apology. And Dan Patrick addressed that this morning. He said, yeah, he needed to give an apology like that, because no matter what happens, you are not supposed to do that. But at the same time, this is not something that I personally think was a bad thing that Lamar did. Well, which I totally fall in line with that.
It's the thing is, right, when you're talking like correcting a behavior with an equally sort of shocking behavior is not the end of the world. And if a guy reaches over, and there's no ultimate harm in some fan like hitting your helmet, smacking your helmet, shoving your helmet, right? It didn't hurt either of the players. And so the shove didn't hurt the fan. So it's just like, okay, that's a wash. And most of the time, when you're talking about the barrier between professional athlete and fan, you're talking about the barrier between a person in some position of power or authority and the person who's like a paying customer instead. It gets all convoluted and crazy. It's not that what that was a kindergarten playground, and somebody pushed, like Johnny pushed first.
He started it,
and Lamar pushed back, and the teacher just goes,
Lamar,
hey, no pushing. And you say, no pushing Johnny, who's now banned from the stadium. No pushing Lamar. Okay, end of story.
Yeah.
The kindergarten teacher knows that that's all it takes, and the NFL played kindergarten teacher here, and that was the right thing to do. So,
yeah,
good job,
absolutely.
NFL.
I'll just say this, too. I don't like that we have to spend any kind of time saying, yeah, well, technically Lamar was in the wrong too. This fan was acting a fool, and he got what was coming.
And
all right?
it's honestly,
and it was
it's
not
nice.
that harmful. And I do not like how I feel like in NBA games, the broadcasters right away are telling us, yeah, that fan's been banned. Why did we not hear that on Sunday Night Football? I was spending the whole time after that, is this fan going to get any kind of discipline for what he just did?
We saw it on Monday.
We saw it later, but it's like, come on. Like I feel like maybe I'm just a little sensitive. I feel like basketball gets a bad rap for this sort of stuff, and football just is like, can do no wrong with this sort of thing. Like let's let's get an update here so we know because I was upset that this fan did that, and it seemed like there was no repercussion at the time, and I'm glad to know that there has been.
Like, I'm actually okay if they had come out with an announcement like, we have decided not to punish Lamar, and even if they had said that fan learned that you don't touch professional athletes or you're going to get put back in your seat.
Yeah.
Like, if they had said Lamar corrected the behavior so everyone's good, I also would have been fine with that. I don't want to encourage that kind of thing for fans, but if it was like if you do something, and this is where the professional athlete thing, it gets fans feel that they get to say whatever they want, right? It's happened at Delta Center. It's happened with Utah Jazz fans. It happens with Utah fans. It happens with BYU fans, right? I am more of like an eye for an eye guy as long as no one actually gets hurt. And sometimes even if someone just gets a little hurt, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because, again, kindergarten playground. Dog bites person, person bites dog. Both people are fine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay.
What a visual that is.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
If that's all that it takes. I know that institutions and the NFL and professional athletes, because of how litigious our society is, you can't leave it to that. But if I'm a guy, let's say I'm sitting on a bench in an NFL uniform. I'm D-Hop and I took my helmet off and somebody throws something from the stands and it like gets my hair wet or whatever, right? If I go back with the water bottle and I spray it in his face, I'm just like, now we're even. That's enough for me. I'm cool.
Yeah.
The league has to make a big deal out of it. They have to talk about fan interaction. They have to talk about, is this safe? The NBA especially, like you're saying, James, has to do even more than that.
They're a lot closer to the action, which I think is the reason why we hear more about, and a big reason why we hear more about those things. But I just feel like also NBA fans get a really bad rap, but I think it's a little unfair.
Here's the thing. If you're an NBA fan, and I know you can't actually do this. This is my own Neanderthal brain speaking here. But if you think you're a tough guy and you want to say fighting words to Russell Westbrook, okay.
For example.
Okay, let's just have Russell Westbrook meet you in the tunnel and see how that goes for you. These guys are aliens.
I'm scared just at the thought of seeing Russell Westbrook mad at me in any proximity. Like, that guy, do you see what that guy looks like?
Like, if you think you really want to test,
that guy's body looks like a weapon.
You want to go toe to toe with Ron Artest with Meta World Peace?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's like that scene.
But you want
how
about an octagon in the hallway? Let's for fan.
Like you want to throw something at Mark McGuire when he's all hopped up on steroids?
Barry Bonds.
Good
whatever.
luck, man. All right. Have fun with it. You can't adjudicate it that way in sports, in professional sports especially. I mean, who was it? Who's the annoying tweeter, the Stevenson guy, right? Did that actually happen when he was at BYU? He actually had to go into the stands, and he fought somebody that was like shoving his dad or something. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And I promise you, as a civilian, as a fan, you do not want none with an NFL athlete, with an NBA athlete, with a Major League Baseball athlete. You just don't. Yeah. Like, if you want to say something mean about a college football player's mom, fine. If you actually end up doing something that, like if you touch that person's mom, they should be able to come in the stands and beat the snot out of you. I know that you can't actually do it that way, but the NFL deciding, you know what? Really, no harm, no foul. Nobody got hurt.
Right.
Lamar knows not to do it again.
Yeah.
Just like, and I honestly would be like, you know what? Your ban is only for the rest of the year, fan. You can come back in. But if you touch a player again, we're going to let that player put you back in your seat too. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with how it turned out. Also, did you see there was a water bottle or something that got thrown on the field after Derrick Henry's touchdown? That also acted like that, never like nothing to see here.
Okay, so the projectile thing is different.
But
this is where
it's weird that hasn't even been acknowledged yet.
This is where my entire argument falls to pieces because
from that high up, you could really do some damage with that.
I mean, when you're talking about like James, your kid's not old enough to start throwing things at you on purpose or on accident. But when your 2-year-old throws like a half full milk bottle at you, that hurts. You're just like, ow!
I can imagine.
If that thing's coming from 1,000 feet above you, like not 1,000 obviously, but like
hundreds of feet,
and it comes flying down to the court, or I don't know, man. Like the projectile thing makes it different. That's why
it's just
when they give you the soda bottle or the water bottle in some places,
yeah, they don't give you the
they
lid.
don't give you the cap because they want, like, if you're gonna throw this thing, we need the liquid to come out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we spent way longer on that than we planned, but I'm with you. I'm glad that the NFL landed where they landed on that.
okay. So I'm just gonna get to this now, and we can double.
Yeah, let's go.
Because Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers and the NBA and Pablo Torre finds out this is all getting curiouser and curiouser. There's more layers to this onion. So a limited partner with the Clippers. What's the name that they're using?
His name is Dennis Wong, and because of Kawhi Leonard's unofficial agent manager, his uncle Dennis. Pablo's calling him this guy Grandpa Dennis because he's much older.
There's Uncle Dennis and there's Grandpa Dennis. Well, Dennis Wong, Grandpa Dennis, is a limited partner in the Clippers, and conveniently, when Kawhi Leonard was starting to make complaints about receiving a payment on his no-show job of $1.75 million, this payment,
his other no-show job,
his non-NBA no-show job, his aspiration endorsement job, Dennis Wong magically made a $1.99 million contribution to aspiration, and then guess what happened, James? Kawhi Leonard got paid $1.75 million shortly after that.
This was after Steve Ballmer's $50 million investment, which curiously lines up almost when you talk about the amount of money in stock options that Kawhi Leonard got from this endorsement deal, in air quotes. It's $48 million that he got after Steve Ballmer's $50 million investment into aspiration. This was after that. This was after the company, it had become known this company is going bankrupt, so they're late. Because of that, they're late on Kawhi's payment, and Steve Ballmer seemingly says, hey, I can't do this. Can you do it, Grandpa Dennis? And boom, he's paid. At least that's the working theory based on the evidence right now.
I put a poll question out today. Should the Clippers be punished harshly for working around the salary cap to pay Kawhi Leonard extra? It's $7.5 million. It's multiple draft picks. They could be punished harshly in this NBA investigation. There's not a lot of optimism that they're going to be at this particular juncture, but if Pablo Torre keeps digging up stuff like this, it's going to become undeniable.
He might force Adam Silver in the league's hand, which I am rooting for, because salary cap circumvention is, we talk about the Astros sign stealing scandal. Like, this is in the same, ballpark, no pun intended, with that for me, because this is a very important thing for competitive balance around the league. And they explain this very well in Pablo's podcast. If they were allowed to do this, hey, we're going to pay you outside benefits beyond the constraints of the salary cap, Steve Ballmer is like the 5th richest man in the world, let alone the richest NBA owner. He could just get anybody he wants.
That's right. Money is legitimately no object to Steve
Ryan
Ballmer.
Smith, who we talk about being a bajillionaire, he is like you and me compared to Steve Ballmer. And the Jazz, who already have a perception, at least perception-wise, a disadvantage to get good players, would have no shot if this goes unpunished, which basically says, okay, or gets slap on the wrist, which basically would signal to Steve Ballmer and all the other mega rich owners that are not in his wheelhouse, but still more than what we have here and many other places in the league, to say, okay, well, that's all it is. Okay, we'll try that too. Like, this needs to not go unchecked. So I think that, yes, Joe Smith, the other salary cap circumvention incident from 25 years ago, the T-Wolves lost 5 first. Pablo's podcast to kind of give his theory that there's a good chance Steve was just conned in this and he had no idea that Aspiration was doing this.
All right.
But he mentioned that, like, we think of Mark Cuban as one of the richest men in the world, right? He mentioned, the deals that I make are nowhere near the deals that Steve Ballmer makes. He was talking like me or you compared to him. the way that with he was talking with Pablo like that, the way that he compares his wealth to Steve Ballmer's, which should tell you just how wealthy Steve Ballmer is.
I think there's like what $20 billion of net worth between me and Mark Cuban, and there's $130 billion worth of that's the difference. So
like it's
not a false equivalent. You're right. So in any case,
rich people think they're poor
salary
compared
cap
to him.
Circumvention is obviously possible for every NBA owner. Here's what's going to get really interesting, right? If people are like, "Oh, this is happening in the NBA," let me take a look at a hard cap league like the NFL and see if there's anything going on.
Yeah,
Why was Tom Brady taking pay cuts all the time? You know what I mean? Like this could get very, very ugly in professional athletics. Pablo Torre is maybe stirring up just a hornet's nest.
And
we'll see what it actually looks like.
If I were to make a bet on those kind of things, I would bet that it will be Pablo Torre who breaks the next one, if that's the case.
Pablo Torre, be careful, bud. All right.
He might need to get a security team if he goes
Sean
down this road.
O'Connell show continues. We've got Dishing with Dev coming as we start hour number 3 on Utah's number 1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. we're going to play all the good stuff. Jordan Gross again, all that.
Weddle.
Sean O'Connell Show continues here on a Friday. We got Dishing with Dev coming momentarily, but our friends at Culligan Salt Lake City, which, by the way, huge in allowing us to get the Dishing with Dev situated. So I should have thanked you guys at the top of the show. Kenton Colson right here with us. We have Dishing with Dev in large part because Culligan helped that deal come together. And, I mean, since you're here, how great is what we have seen from Devin in the first 2 weeks?
He looks pretty well hydrated, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's all the Culligan water,
That's right.
baby.
He's at peak physical performance. He's making great mental decisions, and it's all because of that water, that high-quality H2O that he's drinking. I'm pretty sure.
801-509-9602. Devin Dampier's got that number in his phone. You should have it in yours as well. That's how you get a hold of Culligan and get yourself on the schedule for a whole home water system. You have an hour left to take advantage of the extra discount, $1,500 off. 801-509-9602 on the whole home system from CulliganSLC.com. You can check them out there as well. So you mentioned something a little bit earlier about the water being different all around the valley, all around Utah, all up and down the Wasatch Front. And I live in the Avenues, a lot of older homes up there. You never know the situation with the pipes, obviously. Yep. I know my water comes from a different tank in this newer house than my old house, which was also in the Avenues. Like, it's sourced from all these different places. Culligan's been in business here in Salt Lake City for such a long time. You guys know how to handle that stuff. Not every water company does.
Culligan products are certified to remove over 90 contaminants. Did you know that there are over 90 contaminants in that clear quality water that you're getting from your municipality, right? So there's an educational piece that we want to promote and that we want to let people know, and that's why we've been in business for so long. That's why the products that we sell actually work. They change people's lives to the better, and they really work. Like I said earlier, you get 50% longer lifespan on all water-using appliances. That's your dishwashers, your water heaters. So prolong the lifespan of your appliances. Get that money back in the cost savings that you won't have to shell out, and take advantage of this $1,500 deal to make it even more affordable.
Okay, so we've talked about the whole home water system. What is a bottleless cooler? Okay, a lot of people think of Culligan and they think there's a water cooler in the corner of the office. I get that delicious water. I fill up my jug. I fill up my Stanley. That's whatever the hot new thing is. I don't know. I just take what my wife gives me. What's a bottleless cooler?
Yeah, so it's basically an inline cooler. So we will tie a cooler into your existing water lines and we'll filter it right there in the cooler so that you can have unlimited water at that cooler. Sometimes that's a better situation or resolution to your water needs than the 5-gallon delivered bottles.
Okay. All right.
We've got them all over hospitals, universities, everything, but it's a great solution. It gives you that high quality water so that you can have cold water on tap, you can have ice, you can have hot water, all of those things.
Everybody loves the pellet ice, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? So why not get pellet ice that's Culligan purified? It's the best tasting water. It's the best ice. Right? And when you have it on demand, like Kent said, you can have an unlimited supply of this pellet ice from your home or in your place of business, and it's purified through Culligan proprietary technology, which, again, filters more water than anybody out here.
801-509-9602. Get a free water consultation. Get on the schedule for $1,500 in savings on a whole home water system, CulliganSLC.com. Guys, I could talk to you all day, but we got to get to Dishing with Dev, the starting quarterback, University of Utah, getting ready for Wyoming. We chat a little bit also about the Cal Poly game. Dishing with Dev right now on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, and we welcome in the starting quarterback from your University of Utah Utes, Dishing with Dev. Devin Dampier is here in our Broadway studios. This conversation brought to you by Culligan Water of Salt Lake City. Experience the Culligan difference. America First Credit Union, Polylift, Concrete Lifting and Piering, ARUP Blood Services, Give Local, Save Local. Devin Dampier, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing all right. 2-0, baby. How's it feel?
It feels great. Being, expecting to win games. That's a feeling that, I love to have, and the confidence I love in my team. So just to continue to keep that rolling.
Okay, we'll get to some of the details of the game here in a second, but your first start at Rice-Eccles Stadium, a place that for us, there's all these great memories and there's this like mental picture of what a day at Rice-Eccles is going to be like. That was the first time you actually experienced it. Did it live up to your expectations? How did it play out in your mind?
Yeah, it lived out to it for sure. I got to watch my older brother play last year, and my mom told me, she was like, when you're in the crowd, you were like, you wish. I said I wish I could play in a stadium like this, and to finally had an opportunity, and it was packed out just the way it was during that game I came to. It was sick.
Wait, so you attended a game at Rice-Eccles as a spectator?
Yes.
And you said to your mom, I wish I could play in a stadium like this. At that point in your mind, was it even a possibility that you would end up the starting quarterback for Utah?
I guess not really. Just that was probably about week. I think it was the Baylor when they played Baylor. It was like week 3 or somewhere around there.
Okay.
I had an early bye week, and I got to come out here. So yeah, it was kind of early, but yeah, it's all crazy how it all worked out.
Wow, that's like poetic in a way. That's really interesting.
Speaking into existence.
So you're sitting there and you're kind of like experiencing it as a fan, experiencing it as a player versus as a fan. I mean, you're obviously on the field. The cheers are for you now.
Yeah.
Give me the difference in like the noise, the craziness, the moment of loudness before the fourth quarter, whatever, from the fan perspective and the player perspective.
Yeah, I guess. They're both loud. You can definitely tell when some bad happens, you can tell when something good happens. So, that's awesome. But yeah, no, just being on the field, especially when our defense was out there, like they got loud on those 4th downs, and offense was having trouble getting off plays. So I was sick to see, and just when we made big plays, they let it be known. So it was pretty awesome.
Another efficient day for you. 17 of 23, 192, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. You're near the top in the country right now in completion percentage. Obviously, you've been taking care of the football. Those are 2 things that you stated as goals with us in our first conversation. So through 2 weeks, are you where you want to be with those numbers?
I think I'm doing a solid job right now. Just always looking at film, you always look at, oh, man, I could have went somewhere else. I could have been 100% this game. But, those little things just to keep bettering my decision-making. And, I think we're on a good track as a team for sure.
You and I have already talked a lot about your offensive line, and everyone in the market, everyone in the country talks about this offensive line, and for, I think, good reason. A different shuffling of bodies for at least half of this game. Okafisi goes out, and obviously Jaron Kump was just, he was on the sideline dressed, I guess ready to go if needed. But when you shuffle the deck a little bit on the offensive line, how much did that change things for you?
So honestly, like spring and fall camp, just certain days, we kind of held our starters, our starting O-line, just, let's not beat them up before, game time actually comes. So
sure.
I've got to be behind, our twos in each position. So when they go in there, they've all played together. We've shuffled our O-line before, just, have guys in there just in case. And, I think everybody was ready to step up when the time came.
Do you like the home environment or the road environment better as a competitor? Because obviously when you're at home, everything, especially in a game like this one, you're scoring a bunch of touchdowns, crowds cheering you on and stuff. You got that little, sparkle in your eye, though, when you talk about any competition. So do you prefer being the quarterback at home or the guy on the road who's silencing the crowd?
I think I love being home. I do love being home. It's a great feeling when you get to play and, in front of all your fans, everybody that wants to be there. There's just nothing like home, but going somewhere and taking over is always that's always fun to do as well.
Tell me what halftime was like at Rice-Eccles, because there were a couple penalties in the first half, right? Game 1 was almost, it set the bar for everyone in a strange way because it was such a clean performance, so efficient on 3rd down, almost no penalties, like no procedural penalties. And we saw a little bit of that creep in in week 2. And obviously you had the 2 big plays toward the end of the first half. So you guys go into the locker room with this huge lead, and we had all kind of assumed that the second half would not really feature a lot of the starters. But what was halftime like, given that, the first half wasn't quite as clean as UCLA?
Yeah, just fixing the mental errors. Again, those penalties definitely hurt our, third down, making, we were in a lot of third and long situations instead of, the normal 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 we normally play with. So just efficiency and, just telling the guys to lock in. We shouldn't have taken the halftime to have to lock in and get these small things fixed. So I'm happy we did get it fixed as soon as we came out. But, yeah, the big emphasis was just, come out like we normally do.
You gave a lot of respect to Cal Poly before this game because, as you said, you've been at the lower level, so to speak. They surprised me a little bit, not because they were more talented than I thought, but they just fought hard, right? Mm-hmm. They had guys completely undersized, not as athletic, but they were making plays anyway because they were, I guess, proven to themselves, to everyone else. Did it surprise you at all what you saw from, Cal Poly? The fact that you got sacked against Cal Poly of all teams, et cetera.
Yeah. I know. I thought they were flying around for sure. Especially even that play. I wasn't expecting that linebacker to come down as fast as he did. So, they got a good thing going on over there. So, I'm excited to see what they do for the rest of the season as well.
They're probably not feeling great after putting up, no touchdowns, only 9 points. But I thought it was if there's such a thing as moral victories in football, I thought that they accounted pretty well for themselves, at least from an effort standpoint. Devin Dampier is our guest here in the Sean O'Connell Show. Dish It with Dev happens every single week. We had a conversation with your offensive coordinator last week, and I asked him the same question I asked you, like, who do we need to see more of? Who do you want to see break out a little bit more in week 2? You said you wanted to get Ryan Davis more involved. He said, I got to get Ryan Davis more involved. He also said he wanted to get Hunter Andrews more involved. And then that happens in week 2. Now, 6 catches, 58 yards, a touchdown. He's capable of still more than that, but did it feel good to accomplish that stated goal? Like, let's get this guy more targets, let's get this guy more catches, and same thing with Tobias.
Yeah, just coming here with RD. We've had that connection all during spring and fall camp, especially even last year. So that's definitely, a guy that I got a lot of trust in. So I was happy, let's showcase that, we have a really good connection. And I think for the most part, we're probably 100% me throwing him or something like that.
Oh, is that?
Something like just target and completion.
Target and completion.
It was
far it's
really good. So,
all right.
I'm glad he got in. And, Hunter, again, he's that Swiss knife for us. He can really do it all. So, good to feature him as well.
I loved it because this happens a lot where you'll talk to a coach and you'll say, what does this team need? And they'll tell you, but then the next game you still don't see it, right? And I'm like, you said this was going to happen, and then it still didn't happen. I mean, obviously, we only got 1 game sample size here, but I imagine from a player perspective as well, when a guy like Jason Beck says, hey, we're going to get you more involved. Not you, but like Ryan Davis.
Yep.
We're going to get you more involved. Don't worry. I know what you're capable of. And then that actually comes to fruition. I imagine that builds a certain amount of trust between players and the play caller.
Yeah, no, for sure. Our coach is big on, what you do well, and you show it in practice, you should have the opportunity in the game. So if you're about it in practice and you're doing what you need to do, and, the player looks confident for the week to run it in game, then, we're going to go to it. So just earning the reps, and, it does pay off.
All right. Tell me how a play like this is handled, not necessarily on game day, but after film, you get back out practice, whatever. There was – I believe it was the second quarter. You probably know better than me, where play breaks down a little bit. You kind of scramble out. You roll out to your right, and long pass down to the north end zone. Dallin Bentley right there at the goal line hits his chest and is incomplete. Right? I know he hates that play. Obviously, it all worked out just fine. He ended up scoring. He ended up having a really solid game, blocking and catching. That play is the kind of play when you're on the receiving end, it can haunt you. Oh, I dropped one or whatever. How do you handle that with your tight end?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, letting those guys know that they should still be confident in themselves. Everyone makes mistakes. It happens. And, yeah, I mean, I'm just the type of guy to lift up our team. I'm definitely getting on them. It's a positive get on, know to bring them up, not a tear them down type of get on,
But then on like Tuesday, you're not making fun of him. Like,
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, after the game, it's like, all right now. Like, next time I need you to hang on to that one.
Oh yeah, that was one of those plays where, look, like I said, it all worked out in the end. I feel like we saw kind of like a little snapshot of what everyone hoped they will see from you, right? Using the legs for escapability, but then the arm is what delivers it downfield. If it had been a touchdown, better, obviously. But in your mind, is that like Devin Dampier, the quarterback, what really, I don't know, what you're truly capable of?
Yeah, I feel like that game I was able to, show the scramble throw and the takeoff as well. So, again, I play whatever the defense gives me. But yeah, I mean, I felt like you got to see, best of both worlds. Me running and me still passing it.
Running a little bit less contact in this game. Was that something by design, or was that just how it played out?
Big emphasis this week.
Your coach hey.
Shoot. Yeah. After last week, it was a big emphasis going to this game. We just had to make sure I could do it if it was needed.
Okay. When you say it's a big point of emphasis, how do the coaches approach that with you? Where, I mean, imagine it comes up in film, and then at practice, how's it handled? Like, hey, get down. What is it?
It was just a one-time conversation. After we got done watching the film, our coach always asks, what's our takeaways from the game? And that was one of the takeaways, just learn how to get out of bounds, learn to avoid hits if it's needed. But, I mean, if you got to get the first, you get the first. But besides that, take care of your body.
That's awesome. All right, the second half was mostly backups. It was mostly guys. Backup at quarterback, it makes sense. Backups for every other position, especially the skill positions. These are guys we're going to see in every game, it feels like. But I asked you before we cut the mics on about your relationship with Bird Ficklin. I know that it's against Cal Poly, and it's against the Cal Poly team that is kind of like already waving the white flag. But he showed some really nice things in this game. Is that what you have come to expect from Bird Ficklin?
Yeah, he had a big fall camp before coming into the season. So, I mean, the bar was set high for him when he gets his chance to go in there. And our coaches want him to get that experience, to be able to have a half under his belt. And I thought he performed really well. He handled the pressure of running the offense very well, and he was poised in the pocket, just all that.
Can you articulate for me what the relationship is like with your backup quarterbacks? Because it's a unique position where you don't want to see them play that much because you want to be on the field most of the time. When you do want to see them play, it's in scenarios like this one where the game is not on the line. I know you want them to be successful. I know you're friends with these guys, but it's different than a lot of positions because there's only so many snaps, right?
Right.
And they belong to you. You're QB1. So how do you handle that, being the guy who's the de facto leader in the room, who has to help them grow, but at the same time being like, but this is my show?
Yeah, I think it's very mutual and very genuine at the same time. I tell them they have freedom to correct me during practices and just stuff like that. They can get on me as well, as much as I try to help them also. So I think we got a very mutual friendship, and just especially in our QB meetings, we're joking around and stuff. We're having fun with football and things like that. But just from a football standpoint, I thought they've been playing really good, just spring and fall camp. So I trust them that if I go down, Utah is still in a safe ball with whoever goes in. So,
are there plays in the game where maybe coming to the line of scrimmage, this is about to be a big play, or as soon as the ball leaves your hand, you have recognized that, this thing, like I was watching from the end zone when you threw that ball to Wayshawn, and so from that vantage point, I could see that there was no one within like 25 yards of him. I was like, oh, that's a bust. He's gone. Are there plays, that one I imagine, and maybe others, where you're just like, oh, watch this. This is about to happen?
See, that's one of those, like, that was more, like an efficient kind of call we normally make. We just want 5 to 10 yards.
Sure.
Let's move the chains. And, so sometimes it is one of those plays if the defense does mess up in a way that play could turn into something big. So when I was reading it and I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, we're about to get yards on this. And then he took it the whole way.
Yeah. That was it. It was awesome. And, of course, that's a moment where you get the feel of Rice Eccles, right? Because everyone can recognize what's happening. Everyone sees green grass in front of them. Gets really loud, all that stuff. Team rushed for 273 yards. We saw Nate Johnson as the leading rusher here. Now, Nate was described to us many times as the same way that Hunter Andrews. They're kind of Swiss Army knife players. You're going to see him do a little bit of everything. Now, Nate seems like he's showing really, really good instincts for running even in traffic. Do you think we see more of him in scenarios like that?
Yeah, I think Nate's one of those guys, you get him the ball, positive things tend to happen. So, we try to get him the ball, as much as possible as well. We got a lot of guys on our team. Obviously, you just named Hunter, and Snowden's one of those players as well. You put them in open space, they're going to go get yards for us.
I'm starting to have a complicated relationship with the defensive guys on offense. All right, I'm looking at, especially with Lander. All right, and you can help me talk through this. Lander Barton is capable of being like an All-American linebacker, right? And he's also a really solid tight end if you need him to be. I look at, you have Hunter Andrews, you have JJ, you have Dallin Bentley. Do you need to use Lander Barton and maybe accidentally take something away from his ability as a linebacker? Again, this is the fan in me, not even like the radio guy, the analyst. I'm just like, let that dude go out and be the best defensive player in the conference and not have to worry about offense. Of course, the coaching staff knows much better than I do, but how is it handled in practice? Is it even reasonable for me to worry that his offensive time is taking away from his defense?
Yeah, not at all. The way our practices are structured as well as too. We do extra training with them like after practice, just like maybe 5-10 minutes, just talk about plays and whatnot. But that's kind of about it. They're true athletes. Like when they go in there, they probably practice the play, maybe 3 or 4 times during the week, and when they get in the game, they make it look like they've played offense this whole time. So, but yeah, I mean, they're definitely on the defensive side. They do what they got to do on that side. That comes first for them. So,
what kind of relationship do you have with John Henry Daly? I mean, people who haven't been in the environment don't like offense and defense. There's not as much mixing on teams necessarily as people might think. It's not like when you're in high school and everyone's going both ways and stuff like that. But it's not like you don't know these people.
Yeah.
John Henry Daly's emerging as like a real weapon, potentially a star for this team. What do you know about him? Tell me what that relationship is like.
Yeah. So John Henry's, he's in the pod right next to me, but I think I talk to John every day. Seriously.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
I think because he has to walk by my pod to go to the shower, and we have a good relationship since I've gotten here. But yeah, such a good guy, and I've been tuning his horn a little bit too. Also, you've been killing it out there. Keep it going, and he said the same to me. So very very good pace with both of us.
Yeah, I mean, good things are happening obviously, and we're through 2 games. Coach Witt has always told us, wait until you're in game 4. After 4 weeks, you kind of know what you have, even as a coaching staff. He said that for years and years and years. You're halfway to that point. Do you feel like you have a good sense of what this team is capable of now? Do you feel like you know where you need to uncover some more, or where all the things that need fixing can be fixed?
Yeah, we've been playing so good as a team. Our games haven't been close yet. I'm waiting to get one of those games where it's just maybe a score or 2 game. Just to be put in that situation, just see as a team where we're at when that situation comes. But I mean, we've been starting off so well that we haven't even put ourselves close to that situation. So, I mean, as a team, I feel like I know where we're at so far. But yeah, again, you just want to see more, and week 4 normally allows that to happen.
So Wyoming, a trip to Laramie. It's not the most glamorous spot. Doesn't smell as good as some places. You have some familiarity with Laramie. You've played there before as a freshman, right?
Yep. I got in the second half. Our starting quarterback took a big hit, so I got in the second half, and he was able to score 2 touchdowns. So
Okay, so a positive history so far
yeah.
in Laramie. What are you seeing from the Cowboys on film? Where do you need to take this team most seriously?
Yeah, I think they're, again, just like Cowboys, they fly around. Those are some tough dudes up front, and very disciplined team. Very few mental errors, big plays. They rarely give those up. So just to be dialed in all 4 quarters going against them.
How much attention is paid to headlines? You guys moved up in the rankings, which is always cool to see that respect for the team. I know that you're very dialed in on what's happening right now. The Wyoming coach he has a vote in the coaches poll. He said, last week I put them 12. This week I put Utah as the 10th best team in the country. So Wyoming's head coach thinks that you are a top 10 team, and he's been public about that. Is that something that has come across your radar at all?
No, that's the first time I heard it, but that's a lot of respect. We appreciate that for sure. But yeah, it means nothing if we don't go out and prove what we got. So take every week serious.
And the way that's most meaningful probably is that he's preparing his team to play against a top 10 squad. He feels like this is their Super Bowl, for lack of a better term. If that's what the coach thinks of you, he's going to be like, this is the biggest game of the season for Wyoming.
Yeah. And yeah, as they should handle it. Every game should, be that game for sure. So, yeah.
Okay, I don't want to get you in trouble because I know coaches want it to be 1 week at a time, 1 game at a time. But the announcement came out last week that the conference opener, Texas Tech, is going to be big noon kickoff, 10 a.m. game at Rice Eccles. The television crew is going to be here. 2 ranked teams, we assume, that are both undefeated at that time. We'll see what happens with you guys and with them. Is that something that you have all talked about or thought about just yet?
No, not as a team. As a team, we stay 1 week. My parents did call me though. They're like, we got to switch our flights around.
Yeah,
because that game got changed. So, that's all I've heard about it so far. Not looking anything into it yet though. Got to handle this week first.
In general, not taking the focus away from Wyoming, but
sure.
In general, an opportunity to showcase yourself and your team in a national time slot on a national stage with everyone's eyes. That's a great opportunity and seems like something, what little I know about you, seems like something you would be excited about.
Yeah, I think, that's the reason why a lot of guys play college football. So, showcase their talents at the highest level. And, we put ourselves in that situation going through this week good. Then, that's going to be a really exciting game for us.
I'll probably ask you this every week we have a conversation, but you're through 2 games now in this Utah uniform. You've played incredibly well. Your team's played incredibly well. Has it surprised you? Has anything come as it didn't live up to your expectation, or it's exceeded your expectation, or you just had a different mental picture than what it has been? I'm talking everything. Social life, campus life, football life, all of it. Is this the experience you were hoping to have when you transferred to Utah?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest surprise, when you do go through camp, when offense wins, defense wins, you never know if we're both really good or we're both suck. You know what I mean? So, just have 2 weeks under the belt and, we're both holding it down on both sides of the ball. You can say offense had a little bit better game than defense first game, then defense has a little better game than us the second game. So, it's just awesome to see that, we're such a complimentary team. We all work together. And, just as a fan base, it's been awesome. I got to meet a couple of kids just outside of football and things, and just the way they respond to me and how they look up to me. I'm happy the way I'm carrying myself here, and I just want to continue to do that.
Well, so far so good. Do you have numbers, goals, or anything like that for Wyoming? Anything that you want to get done? Any box you want to check against the Cowboys?
Just a win. That's about it. I need that win. I'm 0-2 against them right now. So yeah, I definitely need that one right now.
The revenge game for Dev against the Cowboys of Wyoming. All right, man. Well, go get this win. Body's healthy. Everything feels good?
Yeah, everything's great.
Tell the truth.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. Was it nice having the second half to rest, or are you like, man, we get all geared up. We do all the preparation for one game. You only get to do it once a week. Is it like a double-edged sword there where you want to play?
Definitely a little bit of both, for sure. Because I was like, man, I wanted to play like 2 more drives. But I was like, you know what? Bergen in there and just the way he played it, he was like, you know, that was definitely something he needed and something he fed off of.
All right. Well, good luck against Wyoming. It's always great talking to you, man. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That is Devin Dampier, Dishing with Dev. Happens every single week here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Brought to you by Culligan Water of Salt Lake City. Experience the Culligan difference. America First Credit Union. Polylift Concrete Lifting and Piering. ARUP Blood Services. Give local. Save local. Lots left to talk about. We still got Eric Weddle joining us on the show today. Don't go anywhere. It's Utah's #1 sports talk. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. If you have not yet played the Stansbury Park Golf Course, now's the time. $45 for 18 holes on a weekday, $50 for 18 holes on a weekend. Easy to get to right off I-80. So if you're a weekend warrior, go out and play it. Might be a little tough if you're not, well, if you're like me. If you golf like me, you're going to need an extra sleeve of balls because there's water on almost every hole. But the greens roll true. It's a challenging course. It's a fun course, and it is not overly crowded. You're not waiting behind a bunch of other foursomes. Get out there to Stansbury Park Golf Course. Lock in your tee time before they're all gone. Stansbury Park Golf, great rates, gorgeous greens, minutes away. Tooele County's historic golf course. StansburyPark.gov/golf course. StansburyPark.gov/golf course to book your tee times. All right, Culligan Water SLC has been cool enough to be with us all day in studio. Cool enough also to offer you for the next 15. I'm gonna extend it, guys. I'm saying the first 15 minutes also of the Spence Checketts drive.
Okay.
You could also take advantage of the Culligan discount offer today. $1,500 off a whole home water system, but you got to get on the schedule during the show or right after the show. You got to get on the schedule today at 801-509-9602. Should everyone's water taste the same in Salt Lake City? If I go down to Sandy or if I'm in Salt Lake City and the water tastes different, is that an indication that I need a Culligan system?
Yeah, should everybody's water taste the same? Yes. Does everybody's water taste the same? That's a different question. And so if you want just great tasting water, if you want to know that you're protecting your family, you're protecting your pets, you're protecting, your investment, call us. Let us come out. Let us educate you on what Culligan systems can do. Like we were saying, our products are certified to remove up to 90 different contaminants from your water. That's everything from lead to pesticides to herbicides, pharmaceuticals, like you were talking about earlier. We have systems that can remove all of it. We can add back in, trace minerals if you want remineralized water, if you want alkaline water, if you want to stop spending $4 a bottle at the grocery store on alkaline water, stop doing it. We can do it, and we can provide it on tap from a system that we put in your house. So give us a call, 801-509-9602, or visit us at CulliganSLC.com.
Look, Ken, people are probably like me, where they think of Culligan, and they think of the old, hey, Culligan man commercials, and they think of a bottle of water and not a lot else, like, a dispenser in the corner of the office. But these whole home water systems softens your water, takes care of your drinking water. The stuff coming out of your faucet now is the same stuff you have to pay $4 a bottle for.
It's better.
In the store. Yeah.
It's better than the stuff you're paying for. Yeah. Yeah, give us a call. Like I said, we'll come out to your house. We'll test the water. We'll show you the results, let you know what's actually in the water. We'll look at your current systems if you have one. We'll find out for sure if it's working. Chances are maybe you got a system that's already working and you only need to add a couple components to really take care of your system. But give us a call, and we'll come out and test your water for free, give you that free analysis, and we can share with you what our products can do for you.
As we've been talking about, there's not a whole lot of investments I can make in my home, a lot of things I can do for my home that also improve my actual health.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Put a new roof on your house, it's great for your house.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect your health, right? New windows, energy savings, that's great. Probably doesn't affect your health. The water is good for your house, and it's also, more importantly, good for your body, good for your kids, good for your spouse, good for grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, and the pets, like you said. So the whole home systems, $1,500 off. The offer is good right now. In an hour, it's not good anymore.
Yeah, you upped the offer to go an extra 30 minutes, and I've seen your right hook, so we won't, but we'll even up it even more. We'll give you free salt delivery for a year if you buy a system from us after booking an appointment during the call.
Do you have the authority to make such a claim,
I'm
Kent?
looking at my boss right now, and he's telling me, "What are you doing, man?" But we're gonna up it.
He just
Free salt
kicked
delivery
Kent.
for a year.
He said it, so I guess we'll honor it.
All right, 801-509-9602, Culligan SLC. Get on the schedule. Do it right now. Improve the drinking water, soften the water, make it easier on your appliances. And if you want to add, you've been down the rabbit hole, you want the alkaline, whatever, test them out. Bring them out and say, I need this, this, and this. Culligan can take care of whatever it is you're demanding with that water. All right, one last segment. Do we have something to give away today, James? Big Willie's gift card coming with some trivia next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. 877-353-0700, Sean O'Connell Show. I've got a Big Willie's gift card. They gave us the hot lunch today. The special is a breakfast burrito, and it is phenomenal. Sausage, scrambled eggs, enchilada-style sauce and cheese, smothered. Excellent. Little pico on the side, some salsa, some sour cream. 1717 South Main. Tell them OC sent you. It's a perfect place. You're not going to Laramie, be honest. Watch the Utah-Wyoming game at Big Willie's this weekend, 1717 South Main Street. And when you get there, say, hey, OC told me to come. Can you hook me up? They'll find you a table. They'll get you in front of one of the big TVs. They'll make sure you, if you want to, you can shoot some pool. They'll have drink specials and food specials going all day long on game day. You can watch all the games there.
This is I think this is the third week they've done the hot lunch, so they've given us 15 different dishes, all of them money.
So good. We haven't had a bad one yet. They had the spinach salad yesterday, which is something I probably would never have ordered. They had the veggie burger a couple weeks ago. Again, probably something I never would have picked off the menu. Those things are awesome. So give them a chance. Every dish has been great so far.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of sample size of dishes, you're like, okay, they're not just picking their best 2 or 3
right.
to showcase on the radio show. Just about everything you can order there. I'm now very confident after 3 weeks of food here that they've given us over the past couple of months, that there's not a bad thing on the menu. So you can't go wrong at Big Willie's as far as the food goes, and of course, great drinks at Big Willie's as well.
Okay, so gift card to give away to Big Willie's, 877-353-0700. I started the show today. We were talking about how Kyle Whittingham is one of the longest tenured coaches in college football, but he's in a much better spot than all the other old school guys, with the exception of maybe Dabo.
But I mean, Dabo, even though he's only 4 years less, that's one college cycle, one cycle of eligibility less than Kyle Whittingham. I would think that you could put him in the next tier of longest tenured coaches. So of the 3 you were initially talking about, he, Gundy, Ferentz, he's in the best spot.
Kyle Whittingham is definitely in a better spot than Gundy right now, who fans at Oklahoma State.
He's probably in the worst out of the 3.
Their GoFundMe accounts to pay his buyout. Ferentz has been embattled for years now, and Iowa is always respected, but the conference championship situation will elude Iowa from now until the end of time. And he's made them respectable, which is why he's been there for how many years? 877-353-0700. We talked about it earlier on the show. Longest tenured coach in all of college football. How long has he been the head coach at the University of Iowa? A Big Willie's gift card, if you can give me that answer. All right, we're running out of time here on the Sean O'Connell Show, and I actually meant to bring this to the airwaves yesterday, but I want to give a shout-out to, the fairer sex, all right? The WNBA playoffs are about to start, and we don't do enough to cover the rise of that sport, the rise of women's basketball. Caitlin Clark being injured and out has really kind of taken a little shine off of it and things like that. But I did not want to let this story go without being noticed. And James, I know that you've got a young child. You've seen your wife go through the childbirth and the labor or the pregnancy situation and the recovery after having a baby, after carrying a baby. The Holly Rowe actually put this on my radar. I
always knew it was no joke, but after you see it firsthand, it hits a lot different. OC, it's certainly not, the recovery for that is certainly not something that's appreciated enough.
So Cheyenne Parker Tyus, okay? Cheyenne Parker Tyus is not one of the top names in WNBA basketball.
No.
But a player for the Las Vegas Aces who gave birth to a son July 1st, 2025. All right? That is less than 3 months ago. That is less than 2.5 months ago.
Yeah. You could measure that in days if you wanted to.
She has become one of several WNBA players who has returned to competition the same season that she gave birth. This is something that in men's sports we will never, ever talk about. It's just not even on the radar. 10 weeks postpartum. She had a son, and then on September 9th, played in a game for the Las Vegas Aces.
That's
July 1st
incredible.
to September 9th. Anyone who has a spouse who has given birth, has a girlfriend who has given birth, anyone whose mom is, you know that
If
the
you've
recovery process
if
can
you-
be long and
Yeah.
extensive and difficult. This woman went from being in the delivery room to on a professional basketball court in 10 weeks. That is bananas.
I've said this before, that what Serena Williams did now going on 10 years ago,
She was 4 or 5 months pregnant at the time, right?
She had lots of complications with her pregnancy of her first child, and then less than a year later was in a U.S. Open final. I said at that point we got to stop talking about the flu game like it's the greatest thing anyone's overcome, physical ailment anyone's overcome to play really well at a championship level. Serena, even without winning that U.S. Open, she exceeded what Michael Jordan did. And I would say now we have something in the basketball court that has exceeded what Michael Jordan did, even though it's not at a championship level. The stuff that women go through, not just physically, OC, the postpartum depression, the what it does to mental health, being postpartum, the coming down from the hormones going back into balance, like that's something else that we don't see that this player's dealing with, and yet she's back on the court less than 3 months later. Like that's
70 days.
The most impressive thing I've heard of.
70 days
sports.
after giving birth, 8 points in 8 minutes as the Las Vegas Aces beat the Chicago Sky. I mean, sometimes you see things, well, a lot of times you see things in professional sports and you say, that's not possible. People don't do that. People can't do that. Well, Cheyenne Parker Tyus did that. Gave birth to her son, Joshua, July 1st, back in action, Las Vegas Aces, September 9th. A 70-day difference, 70 days between giving birth and playing a professional basketball game. There's a lot of guys out there who just 70 days later wouldn't be ready to play basketball, and they're not the ones who gave birth. They just had to sleep on that uncomfortable chair in the delivery room. You guys know what I'm talking about. All right, one last time with our friends from Culligan Water, Salt Lake City. Fellas, we'll get to the offer here. $1,500 off a whole home water system, but you got to get on the schedule today. Do it right now. 801-509-9602. 801-509-9602. Utah, Wyoming this weekend. All right? Classic trap game. They got some decent players. Texas Tech is coming next week. I mean, they're 23.5-point favorites. Are we concerned at all for the Utes heading to Laramie?
I've got faith in our boy Devin. You
All
know,
right.
he's hydrated by that Culligan H2O, and I have a feeling he's going to ball out.
I have a feeling as well. I just try to be reasonable, even though, we're driving the crimson-colored bus around here. I try and,
Can we put a 70-piece up? Can we do that?
you want 70? You want to hang 70 on
why
Wyoming?
Not? Yeah, why can't
All right.
we do that?
Is he always this demanding?
He provides great water.
Well, you got to get the whole home
Excellence.
system in the facility up there. For
That's right.
Culligan's you got to get the whole water situation
we
for
have
all
it.
of them.
Yeah, we do.
It's up there?
It's up there.
Oh, all right. Well, that's
That's why I think 70 is it's easy, right?
all right.
Yeah, even Coach Witt's hydrated by Culligan Water.
That guy is a machine. So
wanna
know
be a
he's gone
machine, you
down
drink
the
Culligan water.
he's gone down into the details of what kind of water he wants to put in his body. Whole home water systems, water softeners, drinking water only, bottled water and coolers for the home or for the office, bottle-less coolers, which I just learned about today. You have it all covered, Ken.
Yeah, we got it all covered. Give us a call. Let us test your water at your house. Most people when we come to their home, honestly, the first thing they say is, "I don't even know if my water softener is working." Right? They're like, "I don't even know if I've got salt in this system. I don't know if it's working." Let us come out. We'll test the water. We'll talk about our products and provide you with reasonable, affordable solutions that everybody's going to love. I mean, even the kids. My daughter and son have had eczema issues. Having Culligan soft water has eliminated so many additional products that they have to apply to their skin because now they're bathing and showering in nice soft water.
And you have financing options, right? If people want to add one of these systems to the house.
That's right. Yeah, we can make these systems affordable. We have rental options. So you asked earlier about if somebody was in a condo or an apartment and they, weren't in a long-term solution. We have rental units that, we can get in and out of really quickly and easily. You have financing options, and then obviously you can take advantage of this $1,500 offer right now. So we're trying to make this affordable for all Utahns. We are really adamant. We love our products. We're a local family business, and we just want to provide water solutions to everybody.
They've been in business here in Salt Lake City for decades. 801-509-9602, CulliganSLC.com. Tell them OC sent you. You can take advantage of the offer, but you got to do it right now. You got to do it today in the next 10 or so minutes. 801-509-9602. Get the free water consultation. Get Culligan out to your house. Improve your home. Improve your health. Drink better water. CulliganSLC.com. Thanks to all of you who listened on the show today. Utah's #1 sports talk. Stay tuned for The Drive with Spence Checketts. That's all for the Sean O'Connor.